public on this potentially deadly blade.
At 8:40 a.m., police discovered what seems to be a pretty badass buck knife. Investigators believe it to be basically the deadliest knife ever.
Mattioli confirmed that the pretty cool wood-handled knife has a clean edge and added that the blade must be, quote, at least like 8 inches long.
At this time, we'd like everyone to be aware that there's probably a man out there with an eye patch and scars all over his face that has access to these knives, or maybe even a samurai sword. We urge people to be careful when approaching him because he may flip out and chop both your arms off before you even realize it.
Following the announcement, Mattioli asked people to come forward if they had any information about the owner of the knife or if they just wanted to hold it for a couple of seconds. For more on this story, check this week's Onion Review.
This is the Onion News Network.
You can help spread the ideas of liberty with our Patreon for just $5 per month at amps.freetalklive.com. Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control, and 603-283-6160 is the phone number to call. That's 603-283-6160, and that means you can call that number with whatever is on your mind. There's no topic specific to why you're going to call in. We do have a caller on the line, but there's still room for you. 603-283-6160. And with you on Free Talk Live tonight, you've got me, Bonnie.
Riley.
And Richie Rich.
And we already have a caller on the line, so...
Wow, we're popular today.
I'm going to go directly to the calls.
Because it's not the big game weekend.
Oh, was that last week?
That was last week, yeah.
Well, Eleanor, you wanted to talk about school uniforms. Is this about specifically your school?
I mean, yeah, I guess, kind of.
Are you for them or against them?
I am against them, personally.
Okay.
Why is that?
Okay, well, I am against school uniforms because I don't personally think that we should have them, like, that we should have to wear them, especially, like, because I go to public school, and I believe that there are just, like, so many kids who can't afford them, and let alone buy, like, 3 to 4 new outfits every few months because, you know, kids grow, like, so quickly, and I just feel like there's so many different reasons, but, like, that's kind of the main reason. I think so many kids can't afford to wash them every day, and they're so expensive, so much more expensive than just, like, normal clothes.
What about the social pressure on the poor kids to try to keep up with the fit of the richer kids and not being able to do so and then turning to a life of crime in order to procure the more expensive attire, whereas they could just all wear the same thing and not have that be a thing?
I did think about that, but also I think kids, especially in elementary school, like, I feel like most kids don't really care. It's really middle school and high school whenever it becomes a problem with that. But for most kids, I feel like it's more about, like, I would rather get made fun of for not having $1 million clothes than for, like, not being able to wash my clothes and, you know, not, like, fitting in my clothes.
Okay.
Well, I've never had a public school that had us wearing uniforms. I never went to any school that actually required uniforms. Did you guys?
No, I actually went to government school and never had uniforms.
Me too.
Private school through high school, uniform every day.
Wow. What was that like, Richie?
It was very easy to pick out my fit for the next day.
I think that would honestly be kind of nice in a way because in middle school, it's like she said, in elementary school, I don't remember even really caring much about, like, I remember being like, oh, I like this shirt because it has gummy bears on it or something. But then it started in middle school and then high school that was like, oh, it mattered if you were, in my time, it was like Aeropostale and Hollister and the other one that's like that.
Abercrombie.
Yeah, and
PacSun.
Stuff like that was, like, important and, like, kind of stressful. And I think that wearing a uniform was nice, or would have been nice because of that. But at the same time, it's like it would be so almost like more mind control, because it's like everybody's has to be the same.
It also transcends. Like, when was the last time you saw me not in a polo shirt? I have long sleeve polos for the winter, and I have short sleeve polos for the summer, and like that's what I wear.
But at the
That's
same
actually not a
time,
bad idea.
sometimes
Right, but it's probably stems from the uniform thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
I have different colors now, but I wear the same style shirt every day, depending, only switching for the season.
Well, one thing that I sometimes look back and think that I wish I had more of was like discipline as a kid.
Okay.
Like my parents were just like nice. I'm not saying like, oh, I wish they were meaner to me. It's that like sometimes it was just like, oh, are you going to get around to doing your chore? You better get up and do that. And I could like skirt around it and like didn't have like a whole lot of like structure.
Okay.
And I feel like sometimes like that has caused me to be like ADHD as an adult.
What do you think about a uniform, not a uniform, but like a standard of dress code, where you have to be within the standard, so that so it's more uniform without actually calling it a uniform?
I think that's just better than having an actual uniform, because at least in my school, in middle school, like you would stand up and they would check you every single morning, and like you can get dress coded so easily at my school.
Wow.
So I just think I don't know. I feel like personally, I think that the school, especially because it's public school, I think that it's just easier for them to give out, to be like, oh yeah, you have to wear a uniform.
Yeah.
Because I think it's easier than having to make this whole rule book and say like, oh, this is what you need to wear, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
and having to like dress code like 30 students a day.
What about like offensive wear? If one of those students comes
Yeah.
in with a T-shirt that makes a political or social statement or something to that effect, and
I had to turn my shirt inside out when I was a kid because my mom made me a shirt that said Earth Day is socialism.
okay,
Wow.
right, but
so
stuff
messed
like
up.
stuff like that will come up, but doesn't come up if you have a uniform code.
Yeah. Well,
My school personally, like, okay, maybe it's just my school, but my school, our teachers don't necessarily care about political stuff, which I know it's like bad, but I feel like if a kid were to wear a jacket that said like I voted for Trump or whatever, it wouldn't get that much, like it wouldn't be that big of a deal at my school.
Might upset a
Kids talk
teacher.
about that already, and I'm in a very like political town, so I believe a lot of people talk about that at school and nobody really cares.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, middle school, it's kind of on the cusp. So what about like revealing clothes that the females will wear that may distract their male counterparts?
I mean, I feel like that would be something that they would have to enforce and be like,
they're
I
doing
feel
it
like
all day,
that's-
every day in all my schools.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think that's kind of coming back to I think it's easier for them to just be like, hey, let's have a uniform, because
Okay.
that's easiest for us.
They should
We don't
probably
have to
like
make a handbook.
provide it if they're going to do that then.
Yeah,
Like
I agree
textbooks?
with that.
Yeah, but they don't do that, do they?
I don't know.
Oh, in
No,
college
in middle
they
school.
do-
In college, you
don't.
got to pay for it, but in
Yeah.
middle school, like they hand that stuff to you.
Yeah, they hand out textbooks.
No,
Yeah.
for me, at my school, they give us school colors, tell us what are the length that our skirts have to be, and basically tell us what it should look like. And then they expect us to go out and buy them ourselves and find a store to buy them at. Whatever. They don't provide them for us. They don't even provide a website that we can go to find them.
Right.
That's only for like jackets and stuff.
Would you be more amicable to the uniform if they were provided like textbooks, though, at that level?
I think so. I think it should be like they provide you a good amount of clothing, and then once you ruin that, it's like, okay, you have to pay for it.
Okay.
But I think that would like
Yeah.
kind of solve the problem more.
A
or
lot of
less.
jobs do that where they'll give you like a couple of uniforms, but then if you want more or ruin one, you have to pay for the next one.
Well, now that she's answered this, Bonnie and Riley, how do you feel about paying for the uniforms for middle schoolers that are going to public school? Because
Oh, yeah.
it's coming out of taxpayer funds now, if they're providing it.
I feel like I was like kind of
I
in
know.
my middle school's point of view and hadn't thought of that yet. I'm not paying for it.
Oh, wait. I don't know. It'd be really tough to say, hey, we should force people to pay for school uniforms because it comes out of taxes. But at the same time, if people can't afford them, then there should be a fund set aside for those who can't afford
Do you
uniforms.
actually know?
Or just remove the requirement to go to school and let people figure that out themselves.
And that's another way to do it.
Eleanor, do you actually know kids that maybe have like said to you that their parents can't afford the uniforms?
Not said to me, but I do have friends who I don't believe would be able to buy a new and like really can't wash their clothes every day and buy a bunch of these like outfits, especially skirts, because I grow out of skirts like so quickly, and most of the girls in my grade do also. So I just think we buy at least like 3 to 5 skirts every like few months, which is absolutely bizarre. And I think a lot of people can't afford that because they're pretty expensive.
What about stores like the Salvation Army or Goodwill? I mean, I still shop there for certain things, especially clothes, because I don't care too much about my fit. And so if I can find something cheap, at the Goodwill, I'm all for it.
I mean, yeah, but our school, in middle school, they literally say, okay, everybody stand up. We're going to make sure your skirt, like your arm's length, put your arms down. Your earrings can't be larger than a quarter.
Right.
Like super duper strict.
Yeah, but can't you find something that fits that at like a Salvation Army, Goodwill, or Ross, or Marshalls, or a discount store?
I mean, I'm sure that you could, but I just also, because we donate all of my clothes that I grow out of, especially school uniforms. So I'm sure that you could, but I don't know. I just feel like it'd be easier to kind of just go to a store, find something that you like that's also school appropriate, and not have uniforms. Yeah,
or like you said, if you're donating uniforms as people exit that school, right, when they get through 8th grade or whatever, and the middle school is, if there's a secondary market for that where they go, well, this is still in good enough condition, we'll donate this down to a lower classman coming up that fits it, that may not be able to afford it, and recycle your school uniforms.
Should be in-house donating thing.
Yeah.
Seems pretty obvious. It feels like these people are trying to do something to make their lives easier, but not really considering the
of course, they're the administrators.
Yeah.
Yeah, the administrators don't really care about the students necessarily to the point that they're willing to cut students' expenses.
Did you have anything else you wanted to say about it, Eleanor?
No, not really. That was kind of it.
Great call, Eleanor.
Thank you for the call.
Thank you for the call. She's very eloquent for her age.
Yep. So, thank you so much for the call. If you'd like to call in, 603-283-6160 is the phone number.
Bonnie's sisters.
No.
Set up.
It wasn't one of my sisters.
That would be funny.
If it was, I would just say it was my sister. Honestly, I don't think that my 2 youngest siblings would call. They're too cool. They're not even Gen Z. They're Gen Alpha.
Oh. They're too cool for the Gen Z, huh?
Who decided to start it at X? Why did we went from X, they started it at X, and now we have to cycle back through the alphabet? Is that how this is working?
I think it's weird. It doesn't make any sense. And also,
makes no sense.
It's like, why aren't they Gen A instead they're Gen Alpha?
A is for Alpha.
Yeah, it's funny. So, I think I should have asked her like what state that was, because I've never heard of a public school doing that.
Okay.
But I forgot to ask her that. And also, I don't know, she sounded like a kid, and it might be weird to ask her where she lives.
Fair.
I didn't want to ask her how old she was either, but it was middle school.
Yeah.
You can call 603-283-6160 if you have anything you'd like to bring up. One thing I definitely wanted to talk about today, I wanted to talk about it yesterday, but we had so much to talk about yesterday. This is from the Wall Street Journal, of course. It's like what I use the most.
A reputable news source.
Yep.
Thank you, Riley.
And it's what Trump's plan to stop minting pennies means for consumers. I hope that they are serious this time, because it's been said about 100 times my whole life.
Yeah, they've been talking about getting rid of the penny for as long as I've been alive.
Yeah, because it costs like 4 cents to mint 1 penny.
Yeah.
It's the most ridiculous thing ever.
Yeah. That's
and then
ridiculous.
then you go to like the dollar store or whatever, and you buy a pack of 100 plastic pennies for like $3.99 or whatever.
That's so stupid. That is so stupid. Yeah, I've seen that before. Well, I almost feel like no. Well, okay.
Plastic pennies worth more than a penny if you're trying to do the math at home.
Yeah, but if you want to use these pennies for counting purposes for a kid, and you don't want them to be real pennies to collect it because they're dirty, I mean, like, is it worth $2 to not have to?
Just wash the pennies.
That's kind of gross.
Put it in like a cup of Dawn if you're that concerned about it.
That's true. You could just soak them, but they're so nasty.
And if you're that concerned, like, work on your parenting, because they should be outside getting dirty, eating dirt, building immunities.
Coins are like another level that gross me out.
It's not that, well, maybe as an adult, but as a kid, like, that's how you build immunities, man. You play with dirty stuff.
Yeah, I couldn't believe my eyes that I saw this. There is a kid that's viral on the internet right now for collecting cicada skins and dead cicadas, but I did that when I was a kid.
All right.
And I thought I was the only person in the whole world that did that. Or that would be like into them. Like I had boxes in my house where I would keep all their skins like organized, and then I would walk out of the house with like one attached to my shirt, because they, if you don't know what I'm talking about, they shed their skin outside. And they're really nasty looking beetles, and they're the things.
Like the Silence of the Lambs.
They're the things
or
that
cicadas.
You hear their like cricket noise, but it's louder and kind of more annoying.
Bonnie's the Buffalo Bill of cicada collecting.
The actual bug of them, I'm not sure I would have touched it because it was like a really large bug, but I touched slugs and all kinds of bugs when I was a kid.
Okay.
And I'm talking like all the way up to probably like 8 years old. So not like 2 or something. I had this fascination with the skins, and I liked that it creeped people out. I would like wear them like a brooch. And there's a kid online that's viral for that. Like, what are the odds of that? Thought that was so weird.
So what started your fascination with collecting cicada skins?
I would just basically always be outside playing in the dirt, breaking open acorns, looking for certain flowers, and then seeing what they look like when you squish them, eating flowers.
Oh, interesting.
Probably could have gone bad, but still, pennies are like another level. I think that's just disgusting. Like I don't think at that age I would have put a penny in my mouth.
I absolutely would have put a penny in my mouth. I probably have.
I probably would have if I was like 2 or something.
Tastes like copper.
Nasty. The thing that always comes to my mind, and I hate pennies so much, is just like whenever I get pennies back from like I'm at the gas station or something, if it's like 4 pennies, sometimes I feel like, oh, I have to take them. But if it's like 2 pennies, I'll just be like, can you keep these? Because they're so annoying. They're just going to end up in my car in the like cup holders and stuff. And then if you ever are driving and you hit a bump and then like there's coffee sitting there, it gets so disgusting. And that's like one of the most horrible things to have to clean.
I think that's more of a problem with the coffee than it is the pennies.
Yeah, but it's worse with the pennies because it like dries on them, and then they're like, you can't just pick the penny up and put it, you're just gonna throw it away anyway. And it's just like whatever nastiness is on it kind of turns into like caramel.
Oh, hey, I've got like a coin bucket that needs to go to a coin store to convert to Bitcoin.
That'd be a good idea.
I have a little coin bucket too, but like I think they mostly hang out in my car, literally. Like, it's so awful.
My girlfriend's the same way when it comes to coins and change. She doesn't really like change. She'd probably just throw it away if she got change.
If I get a penny, I'm throwing it away.
You guys gotta learn
my
math.
time.
Because like I don't carry a lot of cash in general, but like I never carry more than like 99 cents in cash in coins.
Yeah.
Right? Because when I pay in cash, I go like, oh, okay, let me break down my coins to either use that to pay or to, get bigger coins back. Right? So I'm always like doing the math in my head. If it's like 901 and like, oh, here's a penny, and then now I don't have 4 pennies back.
Even if somebody's like not behind me, I feel so rushed if I'm talking to a waiter or going to a gas station. It's not really that I'm scared of talking to the person. In fact, I love to like, if they're nice, like start talking to them.
All right.
But it's that I feel like I'm wasting their time. So I'm like trying to do things as fast as possible for whatever reason.
I'm kind of the same way.
If I get like, like dollar bills back, I usually just like crunch them up in my hand and pick everything up and leave instead of like sitting there and putting them back in my wallet.
I'm also going to suggest you're foolish because they're on the clock.
Yeah.
They're getting paid regardless.
I don't know what it is.
I tell people that when I'm at work and they call in like, oh, sorry to take your time up. Like, dude, I'm on the clock.
Yeah.
Like, I'm getting paid to wait here and talk to you. So you take as long as you need.
It's actually like, why would I even care what somebody who acted like that would think anyway? Because the people that act like, oh, a good customer walked in, they piss me off so much. Like, even at any job I've ever had that where I hated, like, I've never just been mad at a customer for arriving.
Hurry up and give me your money so I can go back and stock shelves.
Me and my friend in...
They're not looking forward to that either.
Me and my friend in Boston went to a coffee shop, and we both drink coffees somewhat late sometimes. But it was like, let's say they closed at 6. Well, it was 25 minutes until they closed, so
That's plenty of
5:35.
time.
Right. And the thing is, like, we went in there and she was acting like already so annoyed with us. And I was like, well, what kind of hot coffee do you have? And she's like, well, we already poured out the hot coffee because we close in like 10 minutes. And I was like, I just like literally looked at the clock and looked back at her and was like, okay, you don't close in like 10 minutes. And even if you did, it's like, why don't you pour out the coffee right when you close? Oh no, I can't possibly be here for like 5 minutes after the clock ends. That's just so dumb.
Well, okay, so I will counter that with my own personal example. I worked for a salad restaurant, and we closed. I forget what time we closed. We closed at like 9.
Restaurant.
Yeah, Salad Creations, based out of Florida, but they had a couple in Hawaii. We closed at 9, and we were supposed to like pack everything up, do all the dishes, and get out of there by 9:30. And some nights we got out of there at 10. Some nights we got out of there at 10:30. And the general manager comes up to me and he goes like, "Rich, you got to get out of here at 9:30. I'm like, can't be done. There's too much to do.
Well,
like,
it's like sounds like a him problem. Like,
it was a him problem, but he's like, there's too. I'm like telling him there's too much to do. Like if we wait till the last customer, comes in at 9, even if we pre-do stuff before that, there's so much stuff left to do afterwards. There's no way we're getting out of here at 9:30. He's like, well, make it happen.
putting
like,
a whole bunch of like vegetables in boxes though does sound more labor intensive than just letting a carafe drain into a sink.
Understood.
Yeah.
But he's like, well, you got to make it happen. Like, I'm not your man then. I'm not your man. I can't do it. He's like, well, see what you can do. And all of a sudden, we were getting out of there at 9:30. And he comes up to me and he goes like, so how are you doing it? I'm like, closing early, Neil.
Yeah.
Like we shut down at 8:30. And I laughed. And he laughed. And this went on for a couple months until I get a call from him. And he goes like, hey, sir, I have a customer telling me that you're closing at 8:30.
What?
I go, yeah. I told you this, when you told me I had to close at 9:30.
He thought you were joking?
He thought I was joking. He's
my
like,
God.
I'm like, I told you, Neil. He's like, I thought you were joking. I'm like, no, I told you impossible to get out of there at 9:30. It's always closer to 10, sometimes even later than that, depending on how many last minute customers come through, because we got to make the whole salad and then bus all the dishes, right? Because we make it in front of them.
Oh, and they eat in the store?
And sometimes they would eat in the store. So
and that is different. I was going to say, because like when I worked as a waitress, it was annoying when somebody was eating in the store and staying like way past when we're supposed to be done, and like we still got to clean where you're eating. But
that's like one or two things, right? We can bust everything else down, but we still got to wait for them to finish and then clean up that last little bit of dishes.
Yeah, that's annoying.
Right.
But
So it was always closer to 10 o'clock until we started closing early.
Yeah,
so
I've still
I
noticed like
totally get it.
Lots of jobs where you just go in, take something, and leave. They do the same thing as if it's exactly the same. It's like they heard their friends talk about, oh, it's so annoying when a customer comes in the last minute or the last 35 minutes or whatever, 25 minutes.
Nah, 10 to 15 minutes, I would say you're kind of pushing it as a customer.
Yeah, even if it was coffee at 10 to 15 minutes, but it was not.
Coffee, not a problem. And 25 minutes, you're still open.
Literally, you're still open.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is just this one situation that was like really bright in my head because it was like, wow, this is like egregiously bad. But the little things like that happen like pretty regularly, honestly. And yeah, those kind of people annoy me. But I also can understand if it's, like a certain type of situation.
Yep.
Like whenever you're a waitress, when you're just there still cleaning, you're making like $2.13.
Yep.
But I don't think that like coffee people make just tips. That's horrible. Who would do that job? I don't know.
Baristas, because if they're also getting paid on tips.
Well, but like if it's like $2.13, I don't know. Maybe they do
I don't
that.
know. But yeah, my situation completely different. Well, but they might be under the same restraint, right? Maybe they're like, oh, we got to cut costs and cut labor, and you got to get out of here. And it's like, well, the only way to do it is to leave early.
That's a dumb boss, because
it was.
That's
literally we went out of business shortly thereafter.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even imagine a whole restaurant about salad either. I mean, that's only salad.
There was 2 Salad Creations, and then the guy who franchised that started Aloha Salads, which was just in Hawaii.
So 603-283-6160. Obviously, you really can call in about whatever you want. It's free talk live. More coming up. 603-283-6160.
When New Hampshire peacefully leaves the Union, will we have to take on some of the national debt? Let's be clear. That's not national debt. That's federal debt. Debt that was incurred by a bunch of people that we didn't elect, forcing policies on us that we didn't want, and 2.5 million unelected federal bureaucrats. According to Professor Matt Quartrup from Coventry University and the foremost expert on independence referenda, the rule in international law is that political divorce is not like domestic divorce in that there is no alimony due, and no obligation to pay the debt incurred by the larger organization. New Hampshire's government is a paragon of fiscal responsibility compared to the United States federal government. We didn't create the national debt, we didn't consent to it, and when we declare peaceful independence, New Hampshire will not owe a single solitary dime of federal debt. You can learn more about how we can peacefully divorce D.C. at nhindependence.org and join the movement at nhexit.us.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Benji Haya. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and senior Trump administration advisors are en route to Saudi Arabia to hold talks with Russian officials about ending the war in Ukraine. The White House's Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff and National Security Advisor Mike Waltz are also being sent on behalf of President Donald Trump. But Ukraine, which was invaded by Russia 3 years ago, won't have a seat at this negotiating table, and no invitation was granted to any European nations either. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky insists he'll never accept a deal unless his country is involved.
I will never accept any decisions between the United States and Russia about Ukraine.
There's no room in Riyadh either for delegates from European nations. Instead, France is hosting its own emergency summit, which will be attended by leaders of its allies in the region. President Zelensky's calling for an army of Europe to take on Russia.
The risk that Russia will occupy Europe is 100%.
With more, here's our Europe correspondent, Trent Murray.
His office, as well as many other European countries, will be closely watching what happens in Saudi Arabia in coming days. They will want to make sure that their voice is heard as Washington and Moscow come together face to face for the first time in several years to discuss the war in Ukraine.
That Saudi face-to-face this week follows Secretary Rubio's visit to Israel on the weekend, where he and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu praised President Trump's, quote, bold vision for Gaza, which consists of a US takeover of the devastated Palestinian Strip and the forced resettlement of its millions of residents.
The president's also been very bold about his view of what the future for Gaza should be. Not the same tired ideas of the past, but something that frankly took courage and vision, and it may have shocked and surprised many. But what cannot continue is the same cycle where we repeat over and over again and wind up in the exact same place.
At least 18 people have died in a crush in New Delhi, where thousands of Indians crammed into a railway station, causing a stampede. Dozens, mostly women, were killed after an illegal gold mine collapsed in Mali. The victims were searching for scraps of gold when the earth around them caved in. Elsewhere in Africa, a group of Rwandan-backed rebels have entered the second-largest city in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The United Nations is warning that this latest offensive, which has pushed hundreds of thousands of citizens from their homes, could spark a wider regional conflict. And a British couple is being detained in Iran on unspecified security offences. They were on a motorbike trip around the globe. From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control, and 603-283-6160 is the phone number. That's 603-283-6160, and Free Talk Live is brought to you by LibertyMinded.com. Official Free Talk Live gear like t-shirts and hoodies are available at LibertyMinded.com. Plus, you'll find a unique collection of cool and funny Liberty-oriented clothing at LibertyMinded.com. That's LibertyMinded.com. And with you on Free Talk Live tonight, you've got me, Bonnie.
Riley, and I'm sporting a Liberty-Minded hoodie.
Oh, nice.
And Richie Rich, not sporting a Liberty-Minded hoodie. But I do have their ANCAP logo tattooed on my arm.
Oh,
so
that's pretty
cool.
Bam.
They made it. Not just like the ANCAP logo, but like Liberty Minded's.
Yep. Like if you go to their website, you go to like the ANCAP section, it's like the Free Marketeer logo.
Is it Johnson? He made it?
Yes.
That's really cool.
Yep.
He made the same person. He used to be a host, so maybe people will know his first name. I guess I won't say his last name. He made the Free Talk Live logo too. That I don't really see around me. I guess the one behind Richie Rich probably too, but also the one with the like.
Or on Riley's hoodie.
Oh yeah, the one on Riley's hoodie with the hand holding a phone and the wings. Really cool. I've always liked it. It's like it looks like a man thing. And it's like Mark and Ian's. So.
I do not have that logo tattooed on.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool though. Honestly, somebody
Would you get
should.
that kind of tattoo, Bonnie?
I wouldn't get another tattoo. I wish I had no tattoos.
Okay.
I've been like seriously considering removing my 3 tattoos.
Interesting.
Get one that says Ian.
Yeah, I would rather have a tattoo that said Ian than the tattoos I have.
There you go.
I have an eagle. I'll just say I have an eagle for some reason. Don't really know why.
America.
Me and my friend at the time, we both wanted a tattoo that was the same, but like he was like a gay guy and I'm like a straight girl, almost said a normal girl. And it was like, I was like, well, what about a butterfly? And he's like, I can't have a butterfly, Bonnie. And we were just looking at stuff on the walls and I don't even know why. I don't even know why we ended up with that. It's so, I hate it so much.
Were you drunk at the time?
Yes. And everybody.
And they still tattooed you?
And well, yeah, every time I've gotten a tattoo, I've been drunk.
Okay.
They never have said anything.
All right.
But the other thing is,
you
everybody
can sign the consent form drunk?
Yeah.
Apparently so. All right.
Everybody seems to say, "Oh my God, I look so Republican." It's so awful.
America. It's the freedom symbol.
Yeah, exactly. Or they say, "Look, it seems like something a Fed would have." Like I would be branded with America symbol if I was a Fed.
Or a fascist, right? Fascist has the eagle.
Yeah.
And the bundle of sticks.
So
the fasci.
I have the eagle that is like kind of like traditional American, if you know tattoo styles. I don't why. If it's like that's not even like my taste. That's not even like the type of thing that I think is like looks nice. It looked good on him because it was like a boy tattoo. That's kind of the thing. And then I have
a gay boy tattoo.
And I have a black filled in heart, even though I drew it not filled in, and the dude just started filling it in. And it's like a big mole or something. Instead of being just like the outline. I can't believe he filled in it. My theory is he just started messing up and was like, whatever.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
That could happen.
Fix it. Put like I heart liberty. And then bam.
I think I'd just rather have fewer tattoos. Because sometimes it's like I put on a shirt that has like a little cutout and it's like right where the eagle is. And I'm like, nope, can't wear that shirt. Horrible. And the last one is a symbol that's like a triangle and a little like swoop on it. And it means air. And everybody's always like, so it means nothing? Like, air's not nothing, stupid. Fine, I should start saying it means wind.
Okay.
Because it's supposed to be like me and 3 of my friends who are not friends anymore.
Oh, wow.
We got...
Earth, fire, wind, water.
Yeah.
Nice.
And we're not friends anymore. So...
Which one of you is the 5th element?
No one was. Actually, I don't think we even had all 4. I think nobody was Earth.
What?
We just had Earth, wind, and... fire, yeah.
Okay, so like the band.
Yeah.
All right.
So I hate my tattoos, and I really do want to get them removed, but I just like, it's the winter, and I hate leaving my house, so I haven't really looked into it, but Pete Davidson was in the news. Do you guys know who he is? He dated Kim Kardashian and Ariana Grande.
Yeah.
And
he is not funny.
He's on SNL.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I've watched his stand-up. I've watched his movies. He's not funny.
I didn't know he was even in movies, and I have not watched his stand-up. I was going to say I don't know,
You're
because
not
it's
missing
like
out.
people seem to all be funny on SNL, but it's like, well, they didn't write it necessarily, you know?
Yeah.
It's like being an
Maybe
actor.
he's good on SNL, but I've not found any of his other work to be worthy of my time.
And he did go from being like, just like, he seemed funny to me to like, he dated Ariana Grande, and then he dated Kim Kardashian, and then like, it's like his weird personalities leach too much into everything he does on SNL, and he's like less funny.
Okay.
So there's that, and he's just like nowhere near as funny as somebody like
everybody else.
Like the old people that used to be on SNL are just funnier than him, and also like
he's like as funny as David in New Mexico. Not very funny.
Tina Fey is so funny.
She's hilarious. Yeah.
That's like the only person that comes to mind. No. Amy Poehler is another person that comes to mind, but now I'm seeming like I'm like one of those people who are like, women are so funny. It's like, I think it's more rare, honestly,
Okay.
for a woman to be funny. But then when they are, they really are. Like
Okay.
Tina Fey and Amy Poehler. But why
Depends
did I
on the
bring them up?
generation
Oh.
you're in.
But that's the other thing. I
Yeah.
actually think that SNL was funnier before my generation.
It
because
was. It absolutely was.
I've been shown so many videos of like, Bill Hader isn't that much older than me, but when he was the gay guy that gives the recommendations of what bars are like most cool in New York City, that's pretty funny. And Norm Macdonald is so incredibly funny.
Norm
And just
Macdonald's
mean.
great.
He's so mean to everyone, and it's just funny. So those people are funny. The Van by the River, all that was so much
Chris
funnier
Farley?
than
Yep.
what you see now. Yeah, Chris Farley. And the little guy that's always with Chris Farley, he's
David
funny.
Spade.
David Spade. But I brought up Pete Davidson to say he was in the news because he got rid of all his tattoos.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So he used to have like a bunch. I'm pretty sure he had one that said Kim Kardashian.
All right.
Or at least Kim. But yeah, now he has no tattoos, and he did some kind of like a photo shoot, like not naked, but
I mean, I guess if you're that wealthy, you could spend money on tattoo removal.
yeah.
But I like, it's expensive to get it. I'm not going to spend more money to get rid of it.
Well, it
Like, I
also
don't care
depends
that
on
much.
how much you hate it. Like, if you don't
Yeah.
hate your tattoos, I legitimately just hate mine. Like,
Okay.
I'm just like, this doesn't add anything. In fact, I think it subtracts something, and Kim Kardashian was right. Because she talked about not putting a bumper sticker on a Bentley. That's what she said.
Okay.
Well, I've never gotten any tattoos. I don't think I would. So.
Yeah.
Why not, Mormon? Now, to be fair, I didn't get my first one until I was like 29.
I got my
Like
first
it-
one when I was 19, I think.
Okay. Like I waited, not mostly because it just wasn't in the cards. Like I grew up in a household where my dad didn't like them, and
Yeah.
so I just didn't. And then I was like, I want to get one, and I tried to convince my buddy because my buddy wanted to get one too. I'm like, let's go, let's just go do it. And he chickened out so many times that I just showed up one day with the tattoos. Like, oh, you did it. I'm like, yeah, I wasn't waiting for you anymore, man. Like I had today off, and I went, I got a tattoo, and I got my ears pierced. I'm doing it again later.
Do you regret your tattoos, Richie?
Not at all.
Hmm.
Again, I waited, so mine are cool.
Yeah, I know. It's like if I would have waited, maybe I would have one today that I like more. Like, honestly, I'd rather just have like flowers or something that like adds something. It looks nice. But I feel like I've been scorned so many times because technically I have 4 tattoos.
Okay.
But one of them is underneath the eagle because it was so stupid.
Okay.
I don't even want to say what. It was my birthday.
All right.
Why'd I get my birthday tattooed on me? It's so stupid. It's like,
Just in case you forget.
that's exactly what everybody says. There was this guy that was my roommate one time. He was like, I had a boyfriend. I lived with my boyfriend, but he lived with a roommate. So I like moved in with my boyfriend and my boyfriend's roommate. His name was Justin, and he had his name Justin in huge letters on his back, like going over his shoulder blades. And I always thought, literally, that's the epitome of, what do you think you're going to forget it or something?
Yeah, that's kind of silly.
So
It's to
narcissistic.
remind the cellmate behind you.
Yeah,
There you
what
go.
the heck? It is a little gay too. It's like he wasn't gay.
Yeah. Or it should be your last name if you're an athlete,
Yeah, your last
right?
name.
Because they put that on your uniform, and like,
You're even just because like, oh, my family means a lot to me or something.
Right.
But why your first name, especially when it's like Justin?
Yeah.
So funny. Yeah, Riley. If you get a tattoo, just get Riley in giant capital letters over your shoulder blades.
I don't know if I'd want to do that. That sounds kind of silly.
I'm joking. It would be just so silly.
It would be.
I always thought that was like way worse than mine, and mine was bad. And I still got it covered up. And it's just like I've been scorned too many times. Like, I don't want another tattoo. They're so.
get open eyes tattooed on your eyelids, so when your eyes are closed, people think your eyes are open.
When they're half open.
What is Riley looking at? Nothing. Still nothing.
That's funny.
An eyelid tattoo would freaking hurt.
That would.
That's actually one thing I maybe would consider.
The
is-
makeup stuff?
Yeah, an
Okay.
eyebrow
Yeah.
tattoo. Because like I color in my eyebrows every day.
You could get eyebrow tattoo. You could get eyeliner. You could get lip liner.
Yeah, I don't think I do eyeliner or lip liner.
Okay.
But I would maybe do the eyebrows. But then again, it's like I've been, like I was going to say scorned so many times that I'm afraid to do it. I brought all that up just to talk about how he got his tattoos removed. I think that's all I had to say about that. But before we started talking about tattoos, we were talking about Trump's plan to stop minting pennies. And I really just want to know, is this like absolutely happening? Is there somebody that can veto him doing this? Because really annoying that we keep getting rug pulled about this, because it's like I really want it to happen. I want pennies to be gone and to not have to use pennies.
I mean, he's doing it because of the cost.
Mhm.
And I don't know if it's gone up. Like, this was a long time ago where it's like 4 cents to mint a penny.
Mhm.
Right? And that's ridiculous to even have it at that point. The second part of your question is, yes, he can be stopped. And this is like one of those battles that are going on is some of his executive orders are being challenged in court.
Did you see that the judge in Ian's case is the one that blocked his birthright citizenship executive order?
I didn't.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm like surprised that he has the power to do that, but he's a federal judge.
Federal judge, yeah.
And he's the one that blocked that. And I think that we should definitely use that when we're talking to Trump. Like if we make a post or something like that, just remind Trump.
This is the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
okay.
I actually have like a meme saved that has a picture of Judge Joseph LaPlante next to a picture of Trump. And it says like federal judge Joseph N. LaPlante. I think it's N. Blocks Trump's birthright citizenship thing. And I'm going to start posting that everywhere and tagging him so he knows like, see, this guy obviously doesn't have good
judgment.
like in judgment
Yeah.
in Trump's opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it's like,
Well played.
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, but the point is, he's writing all these executive orders. Some of them are just going through, some of them are getting challenged. If it gets challenged and overturned by the court, will he abide the court's decision? That's like the next question that's going to be upcoming.
Yeah.
And so if he goes like, we're no longer minting pennies, right? Okay, fine. If the court challenges it and says you have to, then does the Treasury or whoever the mint continue to mint them? Like, I don't know, but I'm with you. I'm with you on the cost basis. Like, I don't really care about, like, I have pennies. I don't care. Like I said, I'll collect them and use them when my cash totals like 902. I've got 2 pennies, and then I don't get any change back.
Yeah.
But I've said for a long time that they should get rid of the penny and the nickel, and just drop a decimal point and just round everything to the dime. And the other side of this is, I mentioned the plastic pennies earlier. There was a time where there was like a nickel shortage, right? And your grandparents or great grandparents used like wooden nickels. Oh, what is that? Well, people just started making nickels out of wood to make up for it.
Don't take wooden nickels.
Don't take wooden nickels.
That's what my grandpa used to tell me.
See, there you go, grandpa. But they were around,
Wow.
right? So that people may do on these things, and just because if the federal government isn't minting them doesn't mean someone can't mint them. But the likelihood is they won't, because they're too expensive to mint. You're not going to be able to get the cost down. Now, they could change the makeup again, right? It used to be copper. Now it's, what do you say, Riley? It's mostly zinc.
Yeah.
Right? So they could go back to plastic pennies or wooden pennies or any number of things that might get the cost down to a penny, and just use that. Make it smaller.
The thing
right?
is, like, it
It's
changes
bigger than
all
a
the
dime.
time.
Go
Like,
ahead.
that wooden penny could be a penny for like a few years, but it changes all the time.
Yeah, I mean, you said you throw them away. So how many
Yeah.
pennies are like
I know.
lost just to the garbage disposal in the landfills?
I know, I'm always saying I'm helping
Yeah.
with deflation
There you go.
when
Yeah.
I throw away the pennies.
But whatever, if you can get it down to cost effective, right? Like, what material would you have to use to make this cost effective to mint? And then do that and just change the makeup. Like, this is the new penny.
I hope they
if
don't
it's worth
just
it.
start doing more plastic, and it's like we have like more plastic crap being pumped into the air and the rivers, and just to have pennies, I'd rather have the stupid pennies we have now.
Well, you're also still going to have the stupid pennies you have now.
Well,
right?
yeah, they won't
They're-
just disappear, but I
Yeah,
mean, like making
the
more.
Mint's going to stop minting them. They're not going to disappear, of course.
Right. And
for a while.
but people are going to start hoarding them. Right. Oh, you get your
Yeah,
penny
like, oh, these are
collection.
going to be worth
This
something
is going to be worth
later.
like 5 cents 5 years from now or whatever. And maybe that's what it takes to like make it worth what it is. Right.
What do you
Who
mean?
knows?
Yeah.
Well, because if you reduce the supply of it and the
Oh.
value goes up, right, and then now it
But
now
then, like,
it's worth
everyone's
more.
grandma has a big bucket of pennies that they think
Probably.
will be worth something. I feel like that's even the case with a lot of like these like quarters and stuff. Every once in a while, you'll get one. Not me, but somebody will get one that I know that's like, wow, this one's like actually worth like $20. But
Yeah, pre-64
Mhm.
is when they stopped using silver. So if you have like pre-64 quarters and dimes,
Hmm.
that's actual silver in there.
Yeah, I would definitely keep real silver.
Right.
I would keep real silver too. It has more value than zinc and copper.
I used to always give my dad wheat pennies, but I don't think.
I don't know. Was it
doing
real
much with
copper?
that. Wheat pennies. I think that's the whole idea with them.
Okay.
Yeah, they have like a little picture of wheat on the back of them.
Or the one that says like 1 cent on the back instead?
Yeah, that's what it is. The
Okay,
wheat penny. It
that's a wheat
says
penny? All right.
1 cent, but it has like wheat on it.
Yeah. Okay. So that's copper then, so it has some, melt value for the metal itself.
Well,
that's probably more than a penny.
The Wall Street Journal people are basically kind of, maybe they're peddling fear, saying that it could push prices up if Trump, if his plan does go through to stop minting pennies. They said President Trump said Sunday, but this was Valentine's Day, so a week ago, that he had asked...
Or like 2 days ago.
No,
Valentine's Day was Friday.
Yeah, but they're saying Sunday, even though they wrote it Friday.
Oh, okay. All right.
So President Trump said Sunday that he had asked the U.S. Treasury Department to stop minting new pennies, part of an effort to cut down on what he called wasteful government spending. Well, sometimes it's just like, it seems like the Wall Street Journal is mad about Trump being president or something, because it's like what he called wasteful government spending. That is just what is called wasteful.
Actually, wasteful government spending.
It is wasteful government
They're
spending.
spending more money than it costs to mint a penny.
Stupid. So his remarks revived a long-running debate. Yeah, because it's been said that it was going to happen every year of my life, it feels like. Like they were like, they're going to get rid of the penny, they're going to get rid of the penny, but it just never goes through. So his remarks revived a long-running debate over whether to get rid of the smallest denomination of U.S. currency. Here's a look at what it means for American consumers. How much does it cost to make a penny? Oh, it says it costs 3.7 cents to make one it cost 3.7 cents to make one in 2024. That is up from 3.0 cents in 2023.
Okay.
2.7 cents in 2022 and 2.1 cents in 2021.
That means they got it down, because I remember like years ago it was like 4 cents to mint a penny. Unless that was propaganda at the time.
Yeah. Well,
but either way, it's more than a penny.
They could have changed like what they were doing with it.
Yeah.
Like how they were making it, what they're making it out of. It could have been 4 cents before. So they said it costs so much more to make a penny than its value, that the U.S. Mint reported losing some 85.3 million last year on the nearly 3.2 billion pennies it produced.
Makes sense to me.
There's a graph, and then they said today, pennies are mostly made of zinc and some copper. In 2023, a bipartisan group in Congress reintroduced a bill that would authorize the U.S. Mint to alter the metal content of coins.
There you go.
That was 2023? I thought that's been happening.
Well, I mean, either way, that's a way to get the cost down, is to use cheaper metals.
Oh, it says reintroduced.
Okay.
So I guess it was a thing, then they took it away, and then they brought it back. The bill said changing the makeup of the coins could save millions of dollars a year.
They've got to get it under a penny, though, right? It can't be 2 cents to mint a penny or 3 cents to mint a penny. It's got to be like half a penny to mint a penny.
Especially when they're making billions.
Right.
Sorry. They're making billions of pennies.
You can't lose money printing money, people. Like, that's the most ridiculous thing around.
The bill said changing the makeup of the coins could save millions of dollars a year. The U.S. Mint estimated that it could save about $250 million over 10 years by suspending penny production, according to a 2019 report from the Government Accountability Office. We already had a Doge. What have they been up to?
Nothing.
The Government Accountability Office?
They were less forceful. They just produced reports.
Yeah, they just made reports, and the government never followed them. So.
Just there to make it look like they were accountable to someone.
But now you have Doge, and every time Doge says something, Trump goes, executive order. DJT.
So Trump isn't the first person to question the penny's necessity. The U.S. Mint and the Federal Reserve have proposed reducing the production of lower denomination coins because of the cost of making them. As Americans shift toward electronic payments, cash has become inconvenient, and coins irrelevant for many.
Bonnie.
I really do hate the pennies, but I do like cash in general.
Okay.
I like cash, but I also don't like to use cash since I'm blind and have to sort out my bills and coins and stuff. So
I've always thought it was crazy, like since I met you,
electronic payments. Yeah,
that they don't have like braille on the dollar bills, or at least make them different sizes.
Yeah, like the gold back.
Yeah,
where it's actually representative of the amount of material in there.
You could carry around some kind of little scale and be able to always know what dollar bill you're handing somebody.
Other countries do that, right?
Yeah,
just America.
Make different shaped coins and different shaped bills.
Yeah, or different size bills for blind. Yeah.
But
America doesn't care about you.
No, America doesn't really seem to care about the disabled population too much. I don't think Donald Trump cares about disabled populations too much either. So,
Did he do something?
No, I just don't think he cares as much.
It's also weird, right, that it's the exact same amount of material, but they can stamp it with 1 or they can stamp it with 100, and all of a sudden it's different.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, that's bizarre.
That is bizarre.
And we've put up with that for like over 100 years.
I know. We just think these magical bits of paper with numbers on them suddenly have a value.
Well, it's just like the guy who called in yesterday from freedomlawschool.org.
Yep.
He was talking about how the only reason we have taxes is because of it's the same as Tinkerbell. I forgot to bring this up in the like Peter Pan sequel. I think it was. They talk all about how well, I don't remember which one.
Okay.
Maybe it was Hook.
All right.
They talk all about how Tinkerbell was about to die, but she'll only stay alive if little girls believe in her. And
okay, wow.
That's how the tax system is run. It literally only stays alive if people believe in it. And
that's government in general.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
It's government in general. It's a religion.
Yep. And every time I hear about that with taxes, I want to make the comparison to Tinkerbell, but now I finally did.
Good job.
And it's the same thing with, why does it matter if it's the same exact plastic, wood, pulp, whatever, bill, and one of them says 100, one of them says 1. It's all about belief.
Yes.
Yep, it's just your faith, the full faith of the American people.
Full faith and credit in the United States government.
Yep.
Well, I don't have faith in the United States government.
Well, then get out of dollar bills, man.
Do you have like half faith or something?
Maybe half faith. I mean, I believe that the money they say has value is going to hopefully have value.
Make the money great again.
But that being said, I'd rather hold gold and silver and gold backs and crypto because I don't believe in the government's ability to keep the currency stable.
Yeah. And if you have an ounce of silver and half an ounce of silver, they're worth half as much and it's half the size.
Yeah.
Same with the gold backs.
Gold backs are like $6 now.
I know.
Okay.
One gold back is $6 now. It's crazy.
So crazy. Gold had like the biggest year of its life last year.
I'm a big fan of the gold backs. I think the premium is a little high on small denominations.
Did you know that they came out with a 2 and a 0.5?
Yes. I saw that Captain Kickass posted that. I was like, ooh. He's like, I got to get it for my collection.
Yeah.
Like, go for it, dude.
Yeah.
They sent them to me and I didn't want to complain.
Yeah.
They were supposed to send me a half, a 2, and the 1 from Florida, but they sent me 2 halves and a 1. So I was like, I think that I will just not complain.
Okay. I mean, there's a shop in Manchester that sells it and holds it for you, like Alpine Gold or something.
Yep.
So if you're ever out there, you can just go there and buy it or
Yeah, I'll
trade
definitely get myself one for just like having it.
Every time I think about buying a gold back, I go like, no, let's get some Bitcoin.
Yeah. I like silver too. Silver. The thing is, I think gold is prettier than silver, but I don't have like any gold coins. I have silver coins and I like dropping them and touching them. You can put them in your milk.
Yes.
There is 603-283-6160. There's nothing fun about pennies. They're not as cool. They don't make a cool sound when you drop them like silver.
No.
603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live coming up. Don't go anywhere. It's Free Talk Live.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
Should you be able to earn an honest living free from senseless government interference? The Institute for Justice thinks so. That's why we've spent years defending hard-working men and women from pointless government regulations. Nationwide, IJ has created opportunity by reducing government power. But there is still more work to be done. Visit our website today at ij.org. Let IJ take care of the government so you can take care of your business.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next, after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Benji Haya. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and senior Trump administration advisors are en route to Saudi Arabia to hold talks with Russian officials about ending the war in Ukraine. The White House's Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff and National Security Advisor Mike Waltz are also being sent on behalf of President Donald Trump. But Ukraine, which was invaded by Russia 3 years ago, won't have a seat at this negotiating table, and no invitation was granted to any European nations either. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky insists he'll never accept a deal unless his country is involved.
I will never accept any decisions between the United States and Russia about Ukraine.
There's no room in Riyadh either for delegates from European nations. Instead, France is hosting its own emergency summit, which will be attended by leaders of its allies in the region. President Zelensky's calling for an army of Europe to take on Russia.
The risk that Russia will occupy Europe is 100%.
With more, here's our Europe correspondent, Trent Murray.
His office, as well as many other European countries, will be closely watching what happens in Saudi Arabia in coming days. They will want to make sure that their voice is heard as Washington and Moscow come together face to face for the first time in several years to discuss the war in Ukraine.
That Saudi face-to-face this week follows Secretary Rubio's visit to Israel on the weekend, where he and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu praised President Trump's, quote, bold vision for Gaza, which consists of a US takeover of the devastated Palestinian Strip and the forced resettlement of its millions of residents.
The president's also been very bold about his view of what the future for Gaza should be. Not the same tired ideas of the past, but something that frankly took courage and vision, and it may have shocked and surprised many. But what cannot continue is the same cycle where we repeat over and over again and wind up in the exact same place.
At least 18 people have died in a crush in New Delhi, where thousands of Indians crammed into a railway station, causing a stampede. Dozens, mostly women, were killed after an illegal gold mine collapsed in Mali. The victims were searching for scraps of gold when the earth around them caved in. Elsewhere in Africa, a group of Rwandan-backed rebels have entered the second-largest city in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The United Nations is warning that this latest offensive, which has pushed hundreds of thousands of citizens from their homes, could spark a wider regional conflict. And a British couple is being detained in Iran on unspecified security offences. They were on a motorbike trip around the globe. From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks. Today, the latest from Germany as it enters the final week of its all-important election campaign. Chancellor Olaf Scholz and his main rival in the race, Friedrich Merz of the Christian Democrats, both accused the Trump administration of interfering in Germany's internal affairs after Vice President J.D. Vance launched his scathing attack on Europe at the Munich Security Conference on Friday. He then held a meeting with Alice Weidel, the leader of Alternative for Germany, the far-right party, some of whose elements are being investigated for alleged extremism and neo-Nazi views. Craig Crowther is a correspondent with Germany's external broadcaster Deutsche Welle.
Immigration has been the top priority for people in this election, and that has really been intensified this weekend with the intervention of people like J.D. Vance. Both the current Chancellor and the likely next Chancellor, Friedrich Merz, have come out against the US Vice President's excoriating attack. And I think these issues will only intensify over the next week. If we look at the polls, they've been largely stagnant for the past 6 months. So these huge interventions from these public figures have done very little to change the probable outcome.
That outcome may disappoint, among others, Elon Musk, who has openly campaigned for the AfD in the election, but the party may even win by losing, as it hopes to prove it is a vibrant force within German politics. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
A reminder of our top stories. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio and senior Trump administration advisors are en route to Saudi Arabia to hold talks with Russian officials to end the war in Ukraine. But Ukraine, which was invaded by Russia 3 years ago, won't have a seat at the negotiating table. There's no room in Riyadh either for delegates from European nations. Instead, France is hosting its own emergency summit, which will be attended by leaders of its allies in the region. That's the latest feature story news. I'm Benji Haya in Washington.
The victims of a devastating tornado expressed gratitude that The Onion's 3-part series on the disaster was reported with fairness, accuracy, and an unusual degree of sensitivity. Survivors said they were at least thankful for one thing, that The Onion put much more care and insight into their reporting of the tragedy than any competing newspaper, by far. In economic news, a Pulitzer Prize would very much help certain newspapers increase their circulation, resulting in greater ad sales and more revenue to pay their tireless, hardworking reporters, all of whom have families at home to care for. In other headlines, a group known as Americans for Fairness in Awarding Journalism Prizes is asking all Americans to help The Onion receive a Pulitzer Prize. An anonymous man says he will murder 50 innocent people if The Onion is not awarded a Pulitzer. And look at it, it's beautiful. Look, just give us a Pulitzer already, okay? This is humiliating. For more prize-worthy stories and videos, go to theonion.com/review.
This is the Onion News Network.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com. Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control, and 603-283-6160 is the phone number here. That's 603-283-6160. And I'd like to thank Robert for being an amplifier with us here at Free Talk Live. That means that Robert went to amps.freetalklive.com and signed up to support the show. AMPS stands for Advertise, Market, Promote, and Support. Thanks to Robert and everyone who supports us, and again, that's amps.freetalklive.com if you'd like to check out the perks and benefits of becoming an amplifier. And with you on Free Talk Live tonight, you've got me, Bonnie,
Riley,
and Richie Rich.
And we already have a caller on the line, so I'm going to go to the phones. Unscreened caller, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
It's a sovereign citizen of California.
Should have screened it.
Young Steve. And you know, the value of the penny doesn't come from its face value, retards. It comes from the objective added production from the facilitation of transactions.
How do you demonstrate?
They don't change the value about it. They just say that's 1 penny, so you're actually being dumb. The cost, changes based on like the production and stuff, and that's what we're saying is a problem.
And value is subjective.
Yeah, that's not that addresses nothing what I said.
Except that you were wrong.
The penny comes from.
You are wrong, Skeeter.
He said that the value it comes from something, but the value that like they don't change it. They just say it's 1 penny. So it sounds stupid. I don't know. I don't have anything else to say to him.
Okay.
Do you guys want to talk to him?
Never.
No, I think we're good.
Well, I wasn't sure if it would be him because yesterday I almost said, like, what do you want, Skeeter, to a phone call that was just, like, kind of like the way that his number pops up. And I'm glad I didn't do that, so goodbye, Skeeter. In the last segment, we were talking about pennies, but we have lots of other things to talk about here tonight. Another thing Trump is doing... I'll try not to make like every episode all about what Trump's doing, but he's
doing a lot.
Yeah.
He's doing a lot.
It's like it dominates the news cycle just because every day it's like some new executive order, some new government waste.
Something wacky,
Something wacky.
Well, Trump is an entertainer by trade, and so he's providing a lot of entertainment for people out there, especially the people who like him.
Yeah, it's not even that I'm like, oh, it's great because Trump is doing so many awesome things. Some of it's like I don't get the point or whatever, but it's great
He's going to
because
buy Gaza.
there's so much stuff in the news that I don't have to like do so much like looking for something to talk about on the show. When Trump is going out there saying like, we're going to take Gaza, turn it into a resort, everybody I talked to said it's a great idea.
So, Riley, you said it's absurd.
Yes.
And you're right. But much like the Gulf of America, this is the sequence of things that's going to happen, right? He's going to do something absurd. We are going to mock him for it.
Yep.
It's going to happen anyway. We're going to ironically use the new term, and then a generation or two from now, no one's going to remember how it got changed.
Yeah.
Right?
I could
It's
imagine
crazy.
that being the case.
It's already the Gulf of America on Google Maps.
Yes. And Google has like a legitimate reason for doing so. We go by the U.S. Department of Standards and whatever, and they made the official change, so we made the official change.
Wow.
But if you're not in America, right, it says like Gulf of Mexico, and in parentheses, Gulf of America.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Wow, that's
right?
cool.
So like the rest of the world calls it what it was, which is Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah.
But the Americans get a different version because we're different.
I went to go specifically look to make sure I was right about this, but it does look like it touches more of Mexico than it touches of America.
Not even why it happened
Yeah, I know, but
Yeah.
it's just like it's not even sensible.
anymore, or
No, it's not sensible to name it America, Gulf
Okay.
of America. But then again, like my ex from Mexico would always say like, oh, it annoys us Mexicans when you guys call yourself Americans. We're Americans too. And I'd be like, well, North Americans, but that's different. And he was like, no, we're all Americans. We're all a part of America, North and South America. And it's like,
And Central.
well, you didn't name your country America. Sorry.
Well, I mean, technically he's right.
I'm not saying he's not technically right. It's just that nobody in like Europe, if you're saying, hey, you know those Americans, blah, 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 nobody
Yeah.
is like, wait, do you mean
Right.
Mexicans? Do you mean
Yeah.
Canadians? No.
Right.
They mean Americans, like
But-
in
and
America.
also to be clear, it's not even America, right? It's the United States of America. It's a union of independent states
Yep.
on the continent of North America.
But they're the United States of Mexico.
Okay.
So they're another union of states, but they chose a different name for theirs. So
Right.
sorry.
Yeah.
I just don't.
Every place in South
get-
America is technically Americans too, right?
Yep.
They're just South Americans.
It's just
Maybe
I don't
Trump
get being
should do
offended.
a North American Union.
No, that'd be horrible. I hope he doesn't do that.
I hope so too.
And introduce the Amero to replace the penny.
There you
Remember
go.
that?
Yeah, I
Remember the
remember
Amero?
Somebody brought that up yesterday. I think
I
it
was
was Riley.
actually,
Okay.
I brought that up yesterday because I've heard that talked a lot about in circles I ran in from listening to Alex Jones.
Yes, if you listen to Alex Jones, it was a
Yeah.
big deal.
Oh yeah, and Alex Jones has become such a Trump fan.
They're going to run a highway all the way from Mexico through the United States to Canada.
Yep, he used to say things like that.
The transatlantic highway or whatever it was, Trans-American Highway.
Yep.
What
We're going
was
to be
he
used to the Amero to get
Amero.
rid of the dollar. So all your worthless dollars are going to be worthless. You have to switch to the Amero.
saying?
We're going to use that much like they use the euro in Europe.
He was saying that 20 years ago, and
Yeah, nothing. That's one of the few that hasn't
Yeah.
come to fruition
Yeah.
yet.
yeah,
On a long enough timeline, Alex Jones is right, though. I'll say that.
Yeah, and I already was kind of creeped out when I saw that Trump was able to get Mexico and Canada to agree to, I think it was like border enforcing stuff
And,
on day one.
depends where you get your news, right? Because he threatened a tariff.
Mhm.
They acquiesced, according to the people on the right.
Mhm.
But if you're like in Canada or Mexico or on the left, these were things that they were already going to do. And so it's like, well, Trump
Are you sure you're not mixing up with because like you told us that about the El Salvador one, but then again, like I didn't specifically even go
No,
get it
like
from the news.
Canada
This
was
is what
already
people
planning
said.
to put like more troops along the border, and then Trump threatened a tariff, and they're like, well, okay, we'll put more troops along
But
the
I
border.
specifically heard about Canada. The Mexican one, more murky for me.
Okay.
But with Canada,
Stopping fentanyl from going through. They already had a drug plan in place.
well, with Canada, I had heard that the guy that's still the prime minister, I can't remember.
Justin Trudeau.
Yeah.
He has Justin tattooed on his back. I'm just kidding. It's so stupid. But so I heard that he specifically like said no, and then a few hours go by and he says yes. So I feel like that's got to be different. But that's just what people have been saying to me. It's not even like I'm
Right.
like, oh, well, here's my source.
Well, and again, you check your source then, right? Because a lot of the acquiescence from Mexico and Canada were things that they were already going
What
to
are the
do.
odds they were going to do it that same day? Sorry.
Not necessarily the same day, but it was already being planned. So Trump threatens the tariff.
Mm-hmm.
I met with the Prime Minister of Canada, and he's agreed to put more troops along the border.
Mhm.
It's like, yes, because they were already going to put troops along the border.
Okay.
So we removed
So
the tariff
they
from
just decided
Canada
to do
because he
that
agreed.
day.
Or because Trump, he's like, dude, we're already going to do this. And then Trump goes, okay, we'll remove the tariff. But Trump looks good
Yeah.
because he threatened a tariff, and all he got out of it was what they were going to do anyway. And he looks good in Mexico, right? Because he threatened a tariff, and he only got out of it what they were going to do anyway.
Yep.
Right. And then Canada looks good because they go like, this idiot to the south, like we promised he threatened the tariff, and we gave him what we were going to give him anyway. And now he's happy about it and removed the tariff. And Mexico's doing the same thing. So like North and South are laughing at Trump, but Americans are going, Trump, strong man. Threaten the tariffs and get them to do what they want.
It still creeps me out that like both countries, whether they were going to do it of their own accord or not, were just like, yeah, let's strengthen the border even more. It's like, I feel like every time this border stuff comes up, I don't think they actually care if like that one old man who called in and said that he can't get a lawn mowing job can get a lawn mowing job in North Carolina. I honestly really think that they do want to like keep us in.
Okay.
Maybe turn it into a
I mean, I've never crossed the border into Mexico, but I did cross the border into Canada, and there's Canadian border guards.
Yep.
Right? And they go like, oh, they check your papers. They go, what are you here for? How long are you going to stay? You know, so they're also controlling migrants going to and from Canada.
Yeah.
And then you come back the other way, and the Americans are doing the same thing. So it's not like they're not doing it.
Yeah, but I mean, like, not in every single little spot.
Well, again, that would be impossible. That's why Trump wants a wall.
Yeah.
Right? Because there are certain places more conducive to crossing.
But they're definitely, like, supposed to be tightening down. Like, I've heard stories of, like, people who illegally cross for, like, cheap drugs in Canada. Maybe that was, like,
prescription drugs.
Michigan and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's definitely possible to illegally go into Canada, or was, and if they're cracking down, it just creeps me out. Just don't like that idea.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, I don't like the idea of the crackdown, but the point is, like, Trump's tariffs didn't do anything. The threat of the tariff didn't do anything that wasn't going to happen anyway.
but that wasn't my point is all I was saying. Like, I was saying more, it's creepy anytime three countries are, like, lockstep doing something that affects us.
Okay.
Not good. I'd rather them be fighting, you know?
I mean, I went to dinner with Mark Edge a couple of weeks ago, and one of the things he said is, like, you know, as a backup plan for Americans, I highly recommend that you get Mexican residency. And, you know, here's a way to go about doing it. You got to have these qualifications and go do this and that. But in the event of an actual crackdown and America like falls, right? If you have Mexican residency, you can basically drive to the border and they're compelled to let you in because you're a resident.
I would probably do that. It's just like really annoying because it's like Ian's in jail, so I don't want to just like go to Mexico for like you have to stay there for some certain amount of time, etc. So that's just like personally for me, like not convenient right now. But the thing is, like it just could happen tomorrow.
It could, and you know, but what happened? You're already screwed. So the sooner you can do it, the better.
Yeah.
And if something's precluding you from doing it, well, tough luck, right? But if you're able to do it, that was his strong recommendation for me. In the event of an actual American collapse, you can still flee to Mexico and get in with residency.
And it's going to be harder to do it like illegally if you just wanted to do it illegally. But I feel like you could probably still do it like today.
If they can get here, we can get there. We're resourceful people.
Oh, yeah, we are.
We do have a caller on the line, so I'm going to go to the phones. Unscreened caller, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Oh, hi. Yeah, I haven't called in a couple of weeks, and I think the last time I called, I mentioned that Donald Trump wanted to take the gold of America and buy Bitcoin with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I acknowledged your reactions to it. And now, and that was before Elon got into the Treasury. And so if Elon has been able to gather the data of every human on that has a Social Security number, every contract that the federal government has gotten involved in, that the value not only of the U.S. dollar has shifted, because, say, for example, if you were a person that bought Treasury notes years ago, you bought like 20-year Treasury notes, and they're going to come due in 5 years, let's say. are you going to be stuck taking cryptocurrency or Bitcoin instead of U.S. dollars? And what is the value of a treasury note when the value can be shifted simply by a guy breaking into the treasury and demanding that everybody get paid off in Bitcoin instead of U.S. dollars?
Did he demand that?
I think that I want to say that it's an unfounded fear as well, but go on.
Well, it hasn't been demanded yet, as far as I know. I mean, I don't own treasury notes, so I can't say whether or not, if somebody's treasury notes came due last week, whether they're being forced into taking them in some sort of a cryptocurrency.
I don't think that's going to happen anyway, right? Like, just because you have a strategic Bitcoin reserve doesn't mean you also don't have dollars, right?
Yeah, I heard about it more as a reserve.
Yeah.
Like just as...
Right, yeah, but the point of his buying gold to have a strategic Bitcoin reserve was to be able to pay off the national debt with cryptocurrency. And
well, that's just folly.
And so the idea that we the people are being, we're being tricked into taking at face value that they are going to, do this thing. In fact,
it would be so much better for you, honestly, to take what you're owed for your, not you specifically, but someone, for your treasury notes in Bitcoin than the US dollar anyway. It's like such a small amount that people earned with their 20-year treasury notes. It's so small. If you would have put that same amount of money into Bitcoin, well, not 20 years ago, wasn't a thing 20 years ago, but you would have earned a lot more money if you put it into Bitcoin when Bitcoin first came out. And I honestly think that it's just going to keep going up, whereas the dollar is going to crash eventually. It can't just continue like this forever.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a bigger fan of Bitcoin than I am the dollar, but I don't think they're going to be like paying people in cryptocurrency.
I don't think they're going to do it either, but I'm just saying, he keeps saying they're going to get stuck like it's some kind of horrible fate when it's like, I don't think that you're really making a huge deal holding treasury notes.
I mean, it's not a huge deal for us because we're in the cryptocurrency space, but right, we've got Ricky from the Commonwealth struggling to get the appropriate cryptocurrency to like settle a bet, right? Yep. And and it's because he's handicapped or whatever the excuses are. So there's a lot of people that don't have the skill set required to go through the process to set this up, nor would they be able to use it commonly if someone set it up for them. So for older people,
that's the whole point. That's the whole point. That say somebody, whether it was somebody in China. I think the last time I was on, I mentioned that, if you were a farmer in Zimbabwe and you loved America and you decided to buy some treasury notes and have your treasury notes sitting there for 20 years, and then your kid grows up and you can pay for the kid's college fund with the treasury notes. And all of a sudden, the whole world shifts, and you're forced into taking some cryptocurrency instead of U.S. dollars.
Something worse than that could happen just from like the dollar crashing. It's not like every single thing that you put your money into is guaranteed. Even Bitcoin could crash, but the dollar is probably way more likely that it's going to crash. So it's just like, I don't know, you're just not guaranteed anything in life.
And again, I think it's an unfounded fear because if you relate it to gold, right? If you relate it to gold and they convert the U.S. strategic reserve of gold into Bitcoin, right? Like right now, they're not paying off treasury bonds in gold. So they're not going to pay off treasury bonds in Bitcoin. They're going to pay it off in dollars. Dollars are still going to circulate, right? Trump's already having issues with BRICS, right? The Brazil, Russia, India, China, their own special currency and trade.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, if they're not using dollars, we're going to have a problem with them. Right. And so he still likes the dollar. He's just got a thing for cryptocurrency right now. But treasury bonds, very unlikely that they're going to pay that out in cryptocurrency. And if like the worst, one more thing, if the worst case scenario is that the entire world shifts to cryptocurrency, well, then you'll have it figured out, right? Because everyone will take it. They'll have to set it up for you It'll be that ubiquitous, and everyone will understand it,
Everybody's going to learn it.
and everyone's going to learn it, right?
Out of necessity, yeah.
Out of necessity. So I still,
People
no matter
learn
how
to use credit cards.
Yeah, people learned how to use credit cards.
no matter what happens, I think your fear is unfounded.
Well, I don't know if you're familiar with Modi in India, tried to make a system called Aadhaar. It was a cryptocurrency. Everybody in the whole nation of India, and that's a couple of billion people, and as I understand it, 97% of the population didn't even have a bank account. They totally dealt with cash. And 97% were all of a sudden forced into going to an electronic type of money. And it didn't work out very good.
You don't
Look
say.
it up as Aadhaar. And there were huge riots, starvation, all sorts of different things because nobody was ready for it, and he forced it on the whole population.
Right. So don't worry about them forcing it on old people here. If you have a treasury bond, you'll get dollars. And if somehow they force cryptocurrency and CDBC, what is it? Central CBDC,
Yeah.
central bank did on everybody, then just like every other new technology that comes out, you'll figure it out, or someone will help you figure it out for you.
Thanks for the call. The other thing I would say is that we weren't for them forcing people to accept payment in Bitcoin in El Salvador either. It also didn't happen.
Yeah.
It's not really a like some kind of a good thing to do. People should be able to accept whatever thing they find value in.
There's a video online about when Burger King first started taking credit cards in the restaurants, and they were interviewing customers like, why would I ever use a credit card to pay for like a $3 burger? I'll just use cash. You'll never get me to switch.
Yeah.
Right? And like, but it's ubiquitous now. It's so much easier to just swipe and move on with your life.
It used to just be even just like, well, thank you for the call. But the other thing is people used to do all their like record keeping and stuff like that. Like if you worked at a restaurant, you're taking food or money or food order, everything was by hand. And I've met people in my life that still say like, oh, I like to do everything by hand. And
I've never filled out the register on my checkbook.
Oh, I do.
Really? I don't write a lot of
Ian told
checks.
me to.
Okay. Ian's old.
Yeah, I always wonder if I actually need to do that, but Ian told me to, so.
It's only so you can reconcile it against what your bank says.
Yeah.
And so and because checks take a while to post and clear, you know how much money you have at any given time.
But with cards, it doesn't take that long.
Doesn't take that long. You get like an instant notification. Hey, did you just spend this money at Home Depot?
Yes,
well,
I did.
yes, I did.
People had to
Not
learn
fraud.
to do like all kinds of things on a computer system, including did you guys ever have to? I even had to do this, but it's not because I'm old. It's because the hotel I worked at just had this for a backup thing if we ever had our credit card things down. Did you ever have to take a credit card and do that thing where you like rub it against carbon paper? Yeah.
I don't think I've ever had to do it, but I've heard of it being done.
Oh, yeah.
And that's because it wasn't instantly processed. Like they had to go process those later, and they needed the information.
Such a like roundabout dumb. I can't believe like we had credit cards before we had a better system than that. So it's like I was just so shocked that this is the way we're really doing this.
When I worked at a gas station, and when the credit card system went down, we had to bust that out because the boss at the end of the day had to go reconcile all those manual ones. But yeah, same thing. But now they don't print, like a lot of credit cards don't have the raised numbers anymore, so you can't even do that.
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
You couldn't even do that with a lot of them.
Yep.
That just seems crazy. I kind of tried to Google something about the Modi and the Aadhaar, and I just got some very weird articles that don't really explain what they're talking about.
I mean, he kind of explained it. They tried to force digital currency on a population that was 97% cash, and it failed.
I already knew it wasn't a cryptocurrency like he said, but digital currency is something different.
When the government forces digital currency on people who are not used to digital currency, it's going to create problems. But, over time, we've gotten used to using dollars in digital forms, whether it be a credit card or, some people walk up with their phones and pay that way.
Yep.
And so, doing a digital currency won't be any more different than doing that.
Now you don't even need the card. You just tap your watch.
We don't know that they stuck to this, but there are all these quotes from, I don't know who this is, one of the government people, and he said enrollment would be voluntary and available to all residents. And it basically would act as a ID card. He said it would prove just one fact. It would prove I am me. And it sounds like some kind of real ID crap. Yeah. I'm glad it failed. 603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live coming up.
When commercials come on, don't push the button. Instead, listen. Even if you don't sell things for a living, you're still selling in the various conversations and transactions that make up your busy day. With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important, especially if you're a job seeker. So take a lesson from Madison Avenue. Often the fewer words, the more effective the message. Like Jiffy Lube, where you never need an appointment, or the Office Max ad that says, you supply the ambition, we supply everything else. How about online ticket broker StubHub.com, the way in when it's sold out, or CyberCupidMatch.com's seductive, go ahead, it's okay to look. How cleverly and succinctly can you distill your message? For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Benji Haya. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and senior Trump administration advisors are en route to Saudi Arabia to hold talks with Russian officials about ending the war in Ukraine. The White House's Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff and National Security Advisor Mike Waltz are also being sent on behalf of President Donald Trump. But Ukraine, which was invaded by Russia 3 years ago, won't have a seat at this negotiating table, and no invitation was granted to any European nations either. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky insists he'll never accept a deal unless his country is involved.
I will never accept any decisions between the United States and Russia about Ukraine.
There's no room in Riyadh either for delegates from European nations. Instead, France is hosting its own emergency summit, which will be attended by leaders of its allies in the region. President Zelensky's calling for an army of Europe to take on Russia.
The risk that Russia will occupy Europe is 100%.
With more, here's our Europe correspondent, Trent Murray.
His office, as well as many other European countries, will be closely watching what happens in Saudi Arabia in coming days. They will want to make sure that their voice is heard as Washington and Moscow come together face to face for the first time in several years to discuss the war in Ukraine.
That Saudi face-to-face this week follows Secretary Rubio's visit to Israel on the weekend, where he and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu praised President Trump's, quote, bold vision for Gaza, which consists of a US takeover of the devastated Palestinian Strip and the forced resettlement of its millions of residents.
The president's also been very bold about his view of what the future for Gaza should be. Not the same tired ideas of the past, but something that frankly took courage and vision, and it may have shocked and surprised many. But what cannot continue is the same cycle where we repeat over and over again and wind up in the exact same place.
At least 18 people have died in a crush in New Delhi, where thousands of Indians crammed into a railway station, causing a stampede. Dozens, mostly women, were killed after an illegal gold mine collapsed in Mali. The victims were searching for scraps of gold when the earth around them caved in. Elsewhere in Africa, a group of Rwandan-backed rebels have entered the second-largest city in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The United Nations is warning that this latest offensive, which has pushed hundreds of thousands of citizens from their homes, could spark a wider regional conflict. And a British couple is being detained in Iran on unspecified security offences. They were on a motorbike trip around the globe. From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control, and 603-283-6160 is the phone number. That's 603-283-6160. You can bring up whatever's on your mind. And are you tired of the oppressive rules and moderation of the big tech social media sites? Our Mastodon server at social.freetalklive.com can set you free. Mastodon is free, open source, decentralized, and federated. Multiple apps are available for iOS, Android, Windows, Mac, and Linux. Social.freetalklive.com. And with you on Free Talk Live tonight, you've got me, Bonnie.
Riley.
And Richie Rich.
And we already have a caller on the line, so I think we should go straight to the phones and see what's on their mind. Unscreened caller, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Yes, okay. You guys are speaking of the Aadhaar situation in India.
Yeah.
Which,
Okay,
if
so that-
we don't know much about it, so if you can fill us in with the facts, we'll take them.
Okay, well, a few things. This is a Bill Gates operation as well.
Is it a USAID thing? I honestly wouldn't be
Yeah, he
surprised
has-
if this is a USAID thing.
So Bill Gates has his various initiatives. He has his immunization agenda 2020, IA 2020. He also had an ID 2020, where everybody, for whatever reason, he's obsessed with having every single person on the planet have some sort of an ID. So what better place to go to India, where, again, it's a billion people plus. And so he has somehow managed to do so. Yeah, basically to ID everybody there, and basically put it on a It's basically a CBDC system, social credit. It's the whole ball of wax.
But did it fail like the last caller said?
Yes, by the sounds of it, yes, it was. It was a disaster once people woke up to what it really was, like the starvation and stuff that he was referring to. Although I don't know, well, that may have something to do with the social credit aspect of it too. So this is what he's speaking of. It's pretty remarkable, and it sounds like it's a Bill Gates situation, and it's done what it's done.
I mean, if it failed because most of the country is on cash, right? Then even if you try to institute social credit, right, you'll still have local communities and local merchants supporting each other by just using cash, right?
Oh, absolutely. Now,
Okay.
I've been to India. I managed to spend 2 months there, and it's truly incredible. First of all, they even have elections. They actually do have elections. They've managed to pull it off with that many people and that many variables. They still managed to do that. So for them to actually have created this Aadhaar system and put everybody on there, again, that is a remarkable feat.
Who do you think does the tech support for that?
Good question. Yeah, that would be something else. So anyway, that's just
This is Tom in America.
A little bit I know about that. And, we don't want anything. We don't want anything to do with the Aadhaar type system.
Well,
would you compare it to the CDBCs that they're trying to institute in the United States, or is it?
Yes. This
Okay.
is from the looks of it. Yeah, this is exactly what they want to do, and they've managed to do a trial run of it there in India and in various other locations as well. And this is the future. It's the future that none of us want.
Okay.
I'm glad that they failed. All of these little quotes that I pulled up from the Wire. .in sounds like it's just some government freaks trying to convince people that it's a good idea. Like they said, quote, biometric data collection by private agencies is not a great idea. Yeah, like you should just let the government take care of your biometric data. That's a great idea. They also said, anyone and everyone who is a resident of India can get an Aadhaar number, and it lets a person prove just one fact. I am me. It's just like they were doing this like
a social security number in the United States.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were doing this like
we've got numbers.
They're trying to convince the people that this will be a good idea. Like this is like the little propaganda stuff. They said the poor will benefit the most from Aadhaar, as the government will be able to correctly identify beneficiaries of various social sector schemes.
They still have a caste system. The poor's not going to benefit.
Do they still have a caste system?
Yeah, they do.
Whoa. That's really sad and crazy.
Yeah. Are they going to give those people numbers, or are they just going to eliminate them completely from the system?
I don't know. Do you know, caller, if it was all of India or just certain I don't know what they call it, states?
No, I don't think. No. I think this would be the ultimate a way to enforce the caste system.
Right.
To get everybody on the system, and then you know exactly who you're dealing with at all times.
Who can spend money, for example?
Who's allowed? Who's not allowed?
Wow.
You're not allowed.
That's really awful. Just the other day, I watched this video of this girl. She does travel vlogs, and she's from Russia. And she talked about going to China, and she got really messed up because she didn't have the right VPN while she was there. So she lost access to her phone and everything, including even like maps. And she actually got like stranded in the airport for 3 days or something. But anyways, when she finally met up with some Russian friends in China, she was saying to them like, don't you feel like very restricted here? And they're students in China, so I felt like they didn't want to speak freely. Plus, they probably were just kind of like cucked by the government. And they were saying like, well, the thing is, we think it's kind of nice because in Russia, not just anyone can walk into a college, but here in China, because everything is so controlled, anyone can walk into a college campus because they feel safe. And I think that's a good thing. It's like after you just watched your friend go through like crappy hell because she couldn't identify who she was for the airport people. And she showed a sign in China that was like every language, including English. It said no pooping on a government door bathroom.
It's for the Indians.
but it was on a bathroom. It's like, you're closing the door behind you. How are you supposed to actually, keep people from pooping once they're in there?
I see signs on public bathrooms that say like, don't throw paper down in the toilet. Don't flush anything.
Yeah.
It's like, really? You want me to throw like the waste paper into the basket?
Oh, well.
That's kind of gross.
A lot of times this means just like don't
Some
throw like
cultures do that though.
anything.
I get it.
But
it's kind of gross.
I've never seen that in America. It's usually like anything but toilet paper.
Yeah.
Because they don't want you to flush like your pads and tampons.
I get it.
But so
I flush it anyway because it's gross otherwise.
Yeah. So anything else on your mind, caller?
Sure. Now I'm calling from Canada, and
cool.
the recent election of your new president there,
Minnesota.
Trump, boy, he's sure making things real interesting for all of us up here.
I'm sure he is.
Do you guys actually believe that he's going to try to buy Canada? Because I think it's a gimmick, but
he renamed the Gulf of Mexico. He's going to try to buy Canada.
Well, see, from our kind of aspect up here, he doesn't seem to be. He doesn't seem to want to. I don't think he actually wants to purchase all of the land and all of the problems. I think what he wants is an economic union, which basically means he basically wants the resources, and he's going to somehow try to figure it out. Now,
that's what empires do. They go and suck all the resources from conquered lands.
Yeah, well, there's that aspect of it too. But the other thing that's very sort of interesting about this is how the premiers are 10 leaders, like you guys have governors. We have premiers. Now, all of our premiers have gone to Washington, and they've had various meetings about all of this because everybody's in a big flap. And one kind of freaky thing that's coming, constant thing keeps coming out of this, is that they they're very convinced that he's serious about this. Like everybody's in a big panic.
Yeah.
About this, especially the leaders that allegedly have spoken to him, right?
Wow.
I'm convinced that he's serious about it, and like I said, the mistake that we're going to make is to take it lightly and make fun of it, and then when it happens, we'll satirize it, and then it'll be just accepted later.
Did other empires really just like keep buying the land right around them?
I mean, buy is one thing, right? Like
Conquer is another.
Conquer is another.
Yeah, but like, I feel like even when Rome was Rome, Greece was Greece. They didn't just say, hey, this is Rome now and make it to where...
Yeah, but Rome went out and conquered other places.
But it's like
Like
Canada can still be
England.
Canada. We don't have to be the same country, you know? That's what I'm trying to say.
But to expand the American empire, right, Canada is going to either end up a state...
Like, it should be a territory, if anything.
Fine. Like we've already got like
really nice, huh?
We've got Puerto Rico, we've got American Samoa, right? America has territories.
Puerto Rico prefers being a territory.
That's
a lot of
fine.
them, at least. Like they've never voted to be a state, so it might be better for Canada. Like I'm not trying to just be mean.
You can have your opinion on it, but like it's a possible to be a thing where Canada becomes a territory, a state, a protectorate, whatever you want to call it, of the United States, simply because either they were sold or because they were conquered.
But
And
then wouldn't that put us in like a war with England because they own Canada?
Maybe.
Now that's okay. Now that's the other thing too that plays into all this. Okay, so we still are. So you guys have your form of government is a constitutional republic.
Mm-hmm.
In Canada, the technical term for ours is a constitutional monarchy. So we have the royal, what they call, we need royal assent to get any bills passed. So we can vote any way we want. We can have our parliament say anything they want. If the monarch in England, I think it's Charles here, there, I think he's the guy. If he says no, well then it doesn't happen. So that's what they mean by the monarchy. So they would have to deal with that as well, because also it's like Canada still is basically a British holding for when the whole corporate aspect of it too.
Right.
I'm pretty sure that they didn't let that go when they signed Confederation in 1867. So there's that whole ball of wax they have to deal with as well.
Right, but if it's going to be a military thing, it's going to be difficult to withstand the might of the United States military empire.
No, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult enough to deal with the might of New Hampshire. There's more guns in New Hampshire than there is in all of the Canadian military combined.
Sure,
Okay.
I'm sure.
But like this extends to Greenland as well, right? Because it's owned by the Danes in Denmark, right? It goes like, well, they could sell it, right? We're willing to buy it from you, but if you want to sell it, we're going to take it. So it's like your choice, your choice, Greenland, your choice, Panama, your choice, Canada. We can buy it, like we bought Alaska and what the Louisiana Purchase and all the other territorial expansions, right? And if you don't want to sell it, we're just going to take it. It's like what's the eminent domain, right? You can take the money, but we're getting the land, so it's up to you.
The other thing I wanted to ask you about, since you're from Canada, if you don't mind continuing the conversation, isn't it true that Justin Trudeau is not supposed to be being the prime minister right now, but he's just like forcing himself on you guys?
Yes, ultimately, yes. That's how most of us feel about it at this point. Okay, so he had resigned himself. He resigned from being the prime minister and the leader of the Liberal Party, which is currently the ruling party.
Mm-hmm.
Until which time they're going to have there's a Liberal Party selection that's going to occur at some point, I think in April or March. I'm not so quite sure, but sometime in the future, coming up here around the corner. So until that happens, I guess he's still technically the prime minister. However, what he has done, though, he's prorogued Parliament. That means that Parliament no longer sits. Parliament can no longer speak of spending, of passing bills and all of that. Basically, everybody's sitting at home getting paid.
He had like a government shutdown,
but,
right?
However, yet the prime minister still seems to be, flying around, on the public dime, giving away millions of dollars for basically, a Doge type of projects. That's a whole other thing we could get into as well. But yeah, so technically, what you've asked is, he's running the show, but he shouldn't be running the show. There's kind of nobody really running the show right now.
Wow, so crazy.
Yeah,
That is crazy.
It's a very interesting thing.
Wow.
So what's
It sounds like a good thing, though. The government isn't doing anything.
Well, it's like the government is shut down, but Trudeau is still doing whatever he wants.
Okay.
It's kind of weird.
I mean, take out the head of the snake, man.
We have a carbon tax up here. That carbon tax is still going to go up in April. Going to go up another 20% or something to that effect. So a lot of those kind of things that could be shut down aren't going to be shut down.
Well, just don't pay the tax.
Those things are still going to progress. There's not going to be any parliamentary anything going against this. So
Well, the people, the Canadians can go against it.
Right
well, they
now.
don't have
and
guns.
The guy closest to the rudder is steering us into the rocks.
Wow.
They still have guns. Trudeau didn't take them all away.
Maybe some.
Yeah, that's that's a well-known secret that when they did the gun registration, probably for every gun that was registered, there's probably 3 that weren't.
Yeah. That's a common sense thing to do.
So, there's still, despite our tight gun control that's happening here, there's still quite a few people around here that's that's.
I'm a big fan of tax protests. So anytime you have a good reason to not pay the government,
don't
take the opportunity.
Yep.
Carbon tax? No, thank you.
I feel like it's like probably a whole different monster in Canada compared to like in the United States.
I feel like it's a much smaller monster.
No, not saying that it's bigger. Just It's got to be way different. Because I was about to say, maybe it's the same thing that. Well, if you guys just stop believing in it, then it won't be a thing. But I don't really know.
That's government everywhere. It's
true.
The full faith of the people, giving those people with the guns the power to use them.
I mean, especially when it comes to, we believe that God told us that Prince Charles has...
King Charles.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Has some kind of special
mandate from heaven.
DNA. Well, thank you so much for the call. Do you consider calling in more? Because interesting when people from other countries call.
It is. It's nice to hear a Canadian call in about Trump stuff instead of just...
But don't wait too long to call, because pretty soon he'll just be an American calling.
Yeah, no, that'll be boring. I'm just kidding. But we do have another caller on the line. We have Sarah in New Mexico. Sarah, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Call it New Canada.
Hey, speaking of Trump, I went to an anti-Trump rally downtown today. It started it's supposed to start at 3, but it started like at 1:30.
Greatest rally ever.
I know that New Mexico is one of the ones suing over Doge.
Okay.
Well, our Raul Torres.
Doge should be not bipartisan. Like every American should be like, you're wasting my money.
It's just
please make it stop.
It's that easy to tell leftists to do whatever the people in charge want them to do.
Okay.
Well, you know what? I'm pretty mad. I showed up at the rally because I got a letter from Social Security. They said they want it filled out front and back, or they'll cut me off if I don't get the letter in 30 days. I'm pretty mad because
cut it
my
off.
Check that I get every month is in jeopardy
Cancer.
if he decides that I could work or something. They asked me, how long have you worked? When did you start working? How old you are? And of course, it's definitely computer. It's the scanners.
Your days of milking the system are numbered, Sarah.
30 days.
30 days. Get a job, hippie.
30 days. They said they might chop my check off. So
Yeah.
You know what? I filled it out, mailed it out, and I'm pretty mad.
I hope it gets lost in the mail.
Wow, that's pretty harsh.
Yeah,
Richard.
Cut her off.
In the mail, yeah, I'm gonna get cut off until I go in there and threaten to blow up the Social Security building with a toaster and a gunpowder or something. I mean,
Sarah,
no, I'm not gonna.
The toaster treason and
and
plot.
Another protest in Santa Fe tomorrow.
Remember, the 16th of March. Sarah went down to the Treasury office.
That was the day they raided our house.
With a toaster full of... Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
I was like,
blow up Social Security buildings, welfare offices in the 1940s during the Great Depression. You know that, right? They cover it up, but that's what they used to do. People be starving and freezing, and then they don't get anything, and that's the way it used to be.
So, Sarah, if they do tell you, hey, we looked at your paper you filled out, and it seems like you can work, are you going to go get a job at McDonald's or something like that?
Oh, yeah, right. No, I'm going to appeal it. I don't, if they ever do that, I'm going to
can't afford the court fees.
Go to court or whatever. Because I've been getting this check for over 25 years, since I was 28.
See? She's been milking the system for 25 years. And you don't want to cut her off already?
Well, think about it. The longer you stay on it, the harder for them to kick you off of it.
Yeah, no, I get it. That's why. Just cut it off.
So what is this song and dance about threatening me with this, I want this letter in 30 days, we might cut you off? That's not going to really cut it.
Because there's a new sheriff in charge. His name's Donald J. Trump.
Honest question is that if you were able to go downtown today, you're able to navigate the bus systems, go downtown, have a protest, you're also able to fill out a piece of paper. Why do you think you're too good to have a job at somewhere like McDonald's?
Even if it's part-time.
Well, something I don't think you understand my psychology that
regardless,
I cracked up and you know
can
what
take
bipolar people are? We're very unstable.
Okay.
See, are you a mental health professional? You don't have proper training.
I don't need proper training.
I don't need proper training.
I just need to know who's funding it, and if it's state funded.
It doesn't have to be McDonald's. That's just an example. You really don't think there's any job you can do because you're too unstable? I mean, you know how to use a phone.
Look, if she gets cut off and the appeal fails, she'll find a way to make money.
She will.
Right. Or she'll die And before she dies, you're like, oh, baby, I better figure out how to make money. Like, people are resourceful when the alternative is starvation and death. People figure it out.
I mean, a doctor might have just told you that you were too unstable to do something, and you've just decided to believe their word, take their word for it.
You know what? Bipolar people are very intelligent, and we have a lot of talents. We're artistic, we're creative, but we're not that stable to maintain a regular job like regular people, like you're asking. McDonald's, they expect you to show up on their schedule.
That's part
and
of
bipolar
that's
people
part
have
of working.
Problems with that.
But you said you're artistic and creative, so like do some art, sell it.
Yeah, there's Etsy now.
There you go.
You don't have to show up on a schedule when Etsy exists.
You could be a photographer, right? Just set your own schedule.
Well, I don't know. You know, I have all these problems I really can't explain to you, but
well, you call in enough, you could explain.
I can't explain it, but you just want to know. But anyway, I want to announce there's going to be a protest in Santa Fe at the Roundhouse at noon. Anybody that's listening, if David from New Mexico, you want to go up there and bring your friends, bring a van load or a carload
Of people who are on the system, on welfare, who don't have to go to work. I'm sure a lot of people, you get a plenty good turnout on that.
I don't think David hangs out with those people.
I don't know what the situation is, but the thing is that was more organized. The Albuquerque Today one was, I just got a text the day before. I was like, just overnight, I get a text for this protest. I'm just like, what? I managed to go, but the Santa Fe one was announced like a month ago. So I'm announcing again. I've talked to a lot of people that was all excited about it. Oh, wow, thanks for telling me, you know. And I met a guy at the food court that knew about it. So I'm going to go to the one in Santa Fe tomorrow. So he was ahead.
She goes to the food court every day. She's able to navigate that.
I hope everyone who shows up at that protest gets cut off of their welfare.
Me too. It just seems like it's
just use it, track them, and go like, oh, you showed up for protest, you're done.
It's just going to be a circle jerk. A bunch of people saying like, we don't like Trump. Yeah, we don't like Trump either. Like, what's it going to actually accomplish? It's kind of one of the worst.
Yeah, what is the protest going to accomplish if these are all people who are, living off the system?
What does any protest accomplish?
Protesting
really.
Trump. Well, I feel like lots of protests have gotten awareness of specific issues that other people wouldn't have necessarily ever heard of.
Okay.
But this is just like, well, we already know you don't like Trump. You're liberals that are on the welfare.
I think they allow you to protest because they know you're not going to stop paying taxes. And until your protest gets to the level of I'm not paying for this anymore.
Well, none of those people are paying taxes.
Right. So they don't care, right? It's worse. They're leeching off the taxes,
mm-hmm.
and they're going to be all rounded up. They're like right there. Just anyone who shows up at that protest, just cut them off.
Remember? Oh my God, I forgot about this. Remember in
biting the hand that feeds you? Come on.
In 2020, when there were all these state house protests about COVID stuff, and everybody was saying oh, it's a trap, don't go, you're gonna get there's gonna be a bomb or something that goes off of these. I completely forgot that was a thing, and it was kind of scary at the time.
Even those, it didn't all the COVID protests didn't change anything. They still had the lockdowns until it was just unsustainable.
I don't know because
slowly opened up.
I always wonder why it didn't get as bad here as it got in Australia. And I think that it's way more because we have guns, period.
Yes, it's because we have the guns.
But
we still have the guns. They don't have them in Canada. They don't have them in Australia. It's worse when you don't have the guns.
Protest was just people not doing it. When people just stopped going along with things, they kind of just in Keene, they actually had to just quietly roll back a mask mandate that they brought back in 2021.
But in Australia, they rounded you up and put you in prison.
603-283-6160. Thanks for the call, Sarah from New Mexico. 603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live coming up.
Free Talk Live.
Because I think it corrupts people over time. I mean, I don't think a homosexual is not going to be perverted in 5 minutes to turn to bestiality. But over generations, if they're having children, I believe over generations, it will pervert.
I'm pretty certain that being gay is not a choice because I think I'd make that choice, right? My biggest problem with gay people is that I'm jealous of them. They have that Grindr app, they just go on their smartphone and get laid.
Oh yeah,
and
Derek is on that thing all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's that I'm so envious of this, but I'm I gag when I brush my teeth. I just couldn't do it, and So I made him laugh.
Wait, doesn't that mean he's perverted if he laughed at that joke?
You're laughing at a sick joke, sir. You're perverting society. You are responsible for the downfall of this country. It's all Karl Marx from here, thanks to you, pal.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern at freetalklive.com.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Benji Haya. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and senior Trump administration advisors are en route to Saudi Arabia to hold talks with Russian officials about ending the war in Ukraine. The White House's Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff and National Security Advisor Mike Waltz are also being sent on behalf of President Donald Trump. But Ukraine, which was invaded by Russia 3 years ago, won't have a seat at this negotiating table, and no invitation was granted to any European nations either. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky insists he'll never accept a deal unless his country is involved.
I will never accept any decisions between the United States and Russia about Ukraine.
There's no room in Riyadh either for delegates from European nations. Instead, France is hosting its own emergency summit, which will be attended by leaders of its allies in the region. President Zelensky's calling for an army of Europe to take on Russia.
The risk that Russia will occupy Europe is 100%.
With more, here's our Europe correspondent, Trent Murray.
His office, as well as many other European countries, will be closely watching what happens in Saudi Arabia in coming days. They will want to make sure that their voice is heard as Washington and Moscow come together face to face for the first time in several years to discuss the war in Ukraine.
That Saudi face-to-face this week follows Secretary Rubio's visit to Israel on the weekend, where he and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu praised President Trump's, quote, bold vision for Gaza, which consists of a US takeover of the devastated Palestinian Strip and the forced resettlement of its millions of residents.
The president's also been very bold about his view of what the future for Gaza should be. Not the same tired ideas of the past, but something that frankly took courage and vision, and it may have shocked and surprised many. But what cannot continue is the same cycle where we repeat over and over again and wind up in the exact same place.
At least 18 people have died in a crush in New Delhi, where thousands of Indians crammed into a railway station, causing a stampede. Dozens, mostly women, were killed after an illegal gold mine collapsed in Mali. The victims were searching for scraps of gold when the earth around them caved in. Elsewhere in Africa, a group of Rwandan-backed rebels have entered the second-largest city in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The United Nations is warning that this latest offensive, which has pushed hundreds of thousands of citizens from their homes, could spark a wider regional conflict. And a British couple is being detained in Iran on unspecified security offences. They were on a motorbike trip around the globe. From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks. Today, the latest from Germany as it enters the final week of its all-important election campaign. Chancellor Olaf Scholz and his main rival in the race, Friedrich Merz of the Christian Democrats, both accused the Trump administration of interfering in Germany's internal affairs after Vice President J.D. Vance launched his scathing attack on Europe at the Munich Security Conference on Friday. He then held a meeting with Alice Weidel, the leader of Alternative for Germany, the far-right party, some of whose elements are being investigated for alleged extremism and neo-Nazi views. Craig Crowther is a correspondent with Germany's external broadcaster Deutsche Welle.
Immigration has been the top priority for people in this election, and that has really been intensified this weekend with the intervention of people like J.D. Vance. Both the current Chancellor and the likely next Chancellor, Friedrich Merz, have come out against the US Vice President's excoriating attack. And I think these issues will only intensify over the next week. If we look at the polls, they've been largely stagnant for the past 6 months. So these huge interventions from these public figures have done very little to change the probable outcome.
That outcome may disappoint, among others, Elon Musk, who has openly campaigned for the AfD in the election. But the party may even win by losing, as it hopes to prove it is a vibrant force within German politics. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
A reminder of our top stories. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio and senior Trump administration advisors are en route to Saudi Arabia to hold talks with Russian officials to end the war in Ukraine. But Ukraine, which was invaded by Russia 3 years ago, won't have a seat at the negotiating table. There's no room in Riyadh either for delegates from European nations. Instead, France is hosting its own emergency summit, which will be attended by leaders of its allies in the region. That's the latest feature story news. I'm Benji Haya in Washington.
The new Netflix Gas lets users instantly inhale multiple seasons of TV shows. An area man is worried the nation's healthcare debate might be getting political. And a bullied 8th grader incorrectly thought classmates would leave him alone during a field trip to the 9/11 memorial. Don't mistake my kind, gentle tone for one of love or support. This is the Onion Week in Review. According to a report released this Tuesday, no one, absolutely no one, will ever stack up to your 8th grade boyfriend, Brian Bowden, who you dated for 6 weeks in middle school. A 43-page study from Stanford University confirmed that no other guy in your life will ever be as kind or caring as the 13-year-old who held your hand during the scary parts of Jurassic Park, who had that really cool chain wallet, and who bought you 2 pink carnations on Valentine's Day. The report added that while your current boyfriend does have a lot going for him, he will certainly never cut class with you to listen to the Dead Kennedys' Frankenchrist on a Sony Discman. Brian used to do that with you. He used to do it all the time.
This is the Onion News Network.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com. Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control, and 603-283-6160 is the phone number. That's 603-283-6160, and we've been podcasting since podcast began, but we're launching a new podcast anyway, and our new podcast is a 30 to 45-minute show releasing once a week. Weren't you on, maybe not the most recent, but like second most recent one, Richie Rich?
I was on recently. She's had some other guests since then. I don't know how many of those have released outside of the Patreon, but yeah.
Yep. So you can hear the Richie Rich episode that was one of the more recent ones. I know that she interviewed somebody about like religious stuff recently, so I saw that.
And that one, I don't think that one has hit the normal feed yet.
Oh.
I think that one's still locked behind the Patreon.
Okay.
I think. Don't quote me on this, but I subscribe to the Free Talk Live feed, and I don't recall listening to the
no, I think it has
one.
to be on there because that'd be the only way I'd see it, unless she talked about it on Twitter. Maybe she did that.
She's talked about it. She's posted clips of the atheist guy on social media, but I have not seen that. I've not listened to that episode through the standard Free Talk Live podcast feed.
Okay, well, I'm sure they'll be able to find the more recent episode with Richie Rich on it. You can go to freetalkcast.com. It's brought to you by the same people who bring you Free Talk Live, and we'd love for you to check it out. The existing radio archive isn't going anywhere. This is just a new show designed from the start to be a podcast, so check it out at freetalkcast.com. And with you on Free Talk Live tonight, you've got me, Bonnie.
Riley.
And Richie Rich.
And Richie Rich, you brought in this story that really fascinated me because I've had this question in my mind before, but I feel like I've never cared enough about it, like thought, oh, let me go and like research. I've wondered if a baby is born, why can they be put back in, and why not? And then I've just thought to myself, nah, they would have done that with all of the premature babies, so it's impossible, you know? That's like kind of how my logic went, but apparently they put a baby back in and now he has 2 birthdays.
Right. And I don't know if this is going to answer your preemie question, and it might not, right? Like that might be like, oh, the mother has gone through the process of not having it be viable in there, and so that's not a good reason to put it back in. But this one, baby thriving after doctors removed womb for spinal surgery, then put it back inside mom at 26 weeks.
Wow.
Wow, that's so crazy. Wait, what country?
I don't know.
It might say.
It might say. We might get to it. English woman, so probably England. A baby survived an incredible operation when doctors performed spinal surgery inside the womb after it was temporarily removed from his mom's body at 26 weeks, and now both are thriving. English woman Serena Nye was relieved to see her newborn son kick his legs after the complex keyhole surgery was completed inside her womb. The 24-year-old was told during her 20-week pregnancy checkup last year that her unborn son had spina bifida. Because of the way his spine was growing and a cyst that was developing at the base of his spine, they were warned that it would be likely to cause him to be severely disabled with a high risk of paralysis.
Oh my goodness.
Serena and her partner were given the choice to continue or terminate the pregnancy.
Oh my God.
Or have fetoscopic surgery. So 6 weeks later, doctors took Serena's womb out of her body to operate on her unborn son's spine, and 3 hours later, her womb and baby were stitched up back inside her body until it was time to give birth.
They took her uterus out?
They're saying womb, and I'm not familiar enough with the female anatomy to...
Because I feel like womb is just like one of those almost like, I don't know, religious terms or like colloquial terms. Like it just means like kind of like what you got going down
whatever
on
the
down there.
sac that the baby's grown in.
Yeah, because that has its
out.
own name too. But the the uterus is something else. But I don't know.
All right.
That's so weird.
Google your anatomy while I'm reading this and see what the womb actually is. At the 31-week mark, Tommy Bowen was born and was able to feed normally and kick his legs thanks to the surgery.
Wow.
He spent 4 weeks in the
So
hospital.
he hadn't been kicking before. That was the significance of that. Oh, that's kind of cute.
Well, and because his spine was growing crooked and there was a cyst, so he might have been paralyzed without the surgery. Yeah.
It says the womb is the uterus. So
they took it out.
Took her uterus out while she was pregnant and put it back in.
Stitched back in.
That's just so cool that they could do that. But now this baby has 2 birthdays, and he's never going to know which sun sign he is, and that's a big problem.
Well,
no, it's not.
Just kidding.
It might be a problem for his future girlfriend when she asks him, but it's not going to be a problem for him.
Yeah.
I almost guarantee that.
I didn't think about that either, that this is a boy baby. It would be a bigger problem if it was a girl baby.
It would be a bigger problem if it was a girl baby. Dudes don't care.
This is a big problem for some baby that exists right now that's a girl that will be his future girlfriend, right?
Yes. He spent 4 weeks in the hospital before doting parents Serena and Chris Bowen brought him home to East Sussex. The tot, now 3 months old, is hitting all his milestones, and a scar on his back from the surgery is the only evidence of the operation.
That is so cool.
That is pretty cool.
When we found out he had spina bifida, we were in shock. We heard all these stories. We thought he would never walk or eat on his own. A few weeks later, Tommy was born. I saw him in the incubator, and he was so tiny, but his legs were moving. That's another thing. So he was like, they brought him out again, still premature at 31 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
After weeks in the NICU, it was a massive relief to bring him home, Serena told news agency SWNS.com, with his scar on his back as a crazy reminder of what happened. Now I look down at my baby and I think, you have no idea what you've been through already. Leading up to the surgery, I was so nervous. We knew there were risks, but the positives were still higher. The surgery took place at the King's College Hospital, and everything went smoothly. We had no idea what he would be capable of when he was born, even though he showed good signs during pregnancy. Tommy was finally taken home on October 19th and has been growing stronger and hitting milestones ever since. I can't wait to sit him down and tell him what he went through when he's older. The next steps are waiting for him to crawl, but for now, nobody can believe how well he is doing. End of the article.
Wow, that is so cool.
That's a really cool story. Like this story is taking place in England. I think Bonnie asked that question earlier. So
yep.
Yeah. When they first said, well, he has spina bifida, I was like, really? Is that big enough of a deal? They'll take him out and take the whole uterus out and then put it back in. But I think it was on
take
top
the chances,
of that.
or terminate the pregnancy.
But I think on top of spina bifida, there was also the cyst that made it like a bigger problem. That's like a really cool little like sweet story to start or to like add to the show tonight.
Yes, but it also like begs the question for the abortion people.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like, is that okay? Like if you took him out and did the surgery and put him back in, is he already born? Is he already human?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Is it still okay to abort him at 26 weeks?
And after the mom survived all of that, if she decided, I want to abort him now, that's what you're asking?
Well, not that she would decide it, but that would the abortion people, the pro-abortion people, be okay with an abortion after it already had been removed from the mother?
Yeah.
Right. Like the big question always is like, when does life begin? Right. If life has already begun and you're already a human being, well then it's murder. Yeah. Right, but if it's just a fetus or a bundle of the bundle of sacs or whatever
bundle of cells.
Bundle of cells. Yeah, if it's just a bundle of cells.
You're just a bundle of
just
cells.
Just a clump of cells. You can kill it.
Oh yes, bundle gives too much baby cute energy. They'll probably just say clump. I think you're right.
Okay, well, fine, clump of cells. If it's just a clump of cells, but at 26 weeks, right, and still premature. It's not, you're not quite in like the third trimester yet, so it's not even a late term abortion.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's all silly because we're clumps of cells too.
Yeah. I gotcha. But what would they say?
I would like for somebody to call in if they have a really strong opinion either way about it. Because my mom or dad texted me. I can't really tell because sometimes my mom texts me on my dad's number just now and said he doesn't have 2 birthdays. He didn't leave the birth canal. And I said, well, my sister who was C-section didn't leave the birth canal.
Yeah, that's another weird one.
But then they said, good point, but my sister left the uterus.
Okay.
This baby seems to maybe did not leave the uterus.
Okay.
So
exiting the uterus is the birthday?
Yeah, but then again, some babies are fallopian tube babies.
Okay.
They were never in the uterus.
Right, what are you going to do?
Some babies are actually outside of the uterus.
I gotcha.
Like, no, I mean, not outside of the fallopian tube or the uterus. Like, a baby can ectopically connect even to, like, your liver, but I think maybe all of the liver ones die.
It begs a lot of questions of when is it okay? Like, they were okay aborting this baby at 26 weeks, right? That was one of the options on the table.
If you follow, like, the logic for all these like trans surgery things, they really just make it all up as they go to like make something make sense. Like, well, we can stop his puberty because of this and that, and then if you're like, well, what about this? Like, they really just make it up as they go, and like one doctor will have one opinion, another doctor will have another opinion, and then there's all these like Frankenstein things where people like lose their bladder and stuff like that.
A lot of doctors acquiesce because they don't want to get sued.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't want my medical malpractice insurance to go up, so I just do what the patient wants.
Yeah.
Even though it's maybe not good for them. Right?
And then some doctors seem to like love giving abortions.
Which is weird.
It is weird.
Yeah.
Like what kind of person you have to be to love giving an abortion? Well,
yeah.
We turned it scary and sad news again.
But 26 weeks, had problems, like terminating the pregnancy was on the table, or a surgery, or just, go through it naturally, and they chose option C, right? But they would have been fine with the abortion. They went, nope, kill it. Right? They would have.
Yeah, they would have.
Yeah.
So
I think that should be left up to the parents of the child to decide, do we really want to go through this abortion, or do we want to do surgery? What do we really want to do rather than the state?
It was clearly a viable fetus, though.
Sure. Well, a lot of pro-abortion people will say that you don't have to fight for the baby's life. Like the baby, if it's born, you can just let it kind of like sit there crying until it dies.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Well, some people say that, but some people don't. But
that's like, am I obligated to save a life?
well,
Or
as a doctor,
a doctor might be able to.
but I
Yeah.
think they're actually obligated to.
Okay.
Because of the stuff that they like, the oath they took.
Yeah, I mean, a long time ago, I went. The employer that I was working at had CPR classes, so I took the classes and then didn't sign the forms. Like, I don't want to be obligated to like save someone's life and perform
Oh.
CPR if I don't like them.
They make you do that? Wow.
I don't know.
I never took any of those classes, so I never heard of the paperwork.
Yeah, I don't know, but I wasn't going to risk it.
Yeah, you should
right?
definitely have the right
If
if
I
you
was-
haven't agreed.
If it was a friend of mine, I was like, oh, dude, I totally know CPR. He's not going to ask me for my certification.
Well, what if he's like, dude, that's gay? Because you have to put your mouth on his.
Well, then he can die. I'm like, all right. If you were a hot chick, I'd totally do CPR on you, bro. But sorry, I'll
Sorry,
do the
bro.
eulogy at your funeral.
That's gay. Oh my god.
No, you know what you got to do? You just got to say no homo before you put your mouth on this. Then you're fine. That
Every
solves
time you
everything.
come up for a
I don't
breath, you
think your
have to
friend's
say.
gonna be worried about it if you're just doing CPR.
bro, no homo, okay?
He's just
Blink-
sitting there like turning
blink
blue.
once.
Oh my god.
Blink once to acknowledge no homo.
Oh my god. Well,
Some chicks in the background just looking on, drawing about it,
oh my god. So
doing her artist sketch. Look at him give CPR. It was so erotic.
Ew. Oh my god. I don't want to get into that at all.
Inside joke.
Yeah. So we have another story about Trump, but it has like broader implications than just, can you believe Trump said this crazy thing? Because I mean, we could just say that all night. Like, can you believe Trump said that he wants to buy Greenland and make it the red, white, and blue land?
Red, white, and blue land.
It's not, is it the
That was a
red, white,
legit-
and blue land?
I don't know if it's but that was like a Republican in the House proposed a bill to
Yep.
do that.
Yep.
Like this is not even satire. You can't even write that satire.
Oh, so Trump wasn't the one that said that?
No.
Oh.
No, it was a bill that someone put
Yeah.
forth in Congress.
And it has like no chance of passing, you think?
I hope not.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
I mean, that's a horrible name, honestly. It's like, name it America Land before you name it Red, White, and Blue Land. And I'm not saying America Land is good. It's awful.
Okay.
But
Freedom Land.
yeah, that's so much better.
Okay.
But honestly, Greenland is totally fine.
It's not even green.
As long as they don't call it Liberland.
Call it Iceland 2.
There you go.
I wonder
New
if
Iceland.
Liberland, I wonder if Liberland has like,
A trademark? No,
Yeah.
because they're end caps.
I would think they wouldn't, but I don't know. They had to become like a country, so I don't know. Never looked into that. So it says Trump's next fight with Mexico. This is a little bit of like scary news. So glad we covered some sweet, cool news in the last part of this segment. But Trump's next fight with Mexico, designating drug cartels as terrorists. Well, it's just like, what's the point? We already know that. Like, we don't need the government to tell us that and start a fight with them. It's kind of scary.
Are they terrorists? They're businessmen.
They terrorize people.
Because what they do is illegal.
Well, what you're saying, Richie, is true. What they're doing is illegal. But if you get the government out of the way, then
They're Budweiser and aspirin.
Yeah, but right now they're terrorists. They terrorize people.
Okay. But the solution isn't to like call them terrorists and go after them. It's to
Yeah.
like legalize what they're doing.
I agree.
Okay.
Completely.
All right.
I'm just saying, like, yeah, I guess they're terrorists. We already know that, basically, because they terrorize people. Like, maybe not every single, like, little group. The only one I know is, like, Sinaloa. That's the only
I like
one
that. I like when they terrorize the cops.
Yeah.
I like the Mexican answer.
I like
right?
those Mormon people that terrorize the cops in Mexico.
New chief of police hired in Mexico, shot down by the drug cartel.
Yep. That's great and everything, but those cops aren't as bad as the cops here.
They're still cops.
It's like, just come here and do that. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes.
I'm just kidding.
You're very
Not Richie
anti-cop,
Rich.
Richie. We can tell.
What's that?
We can tell you're anti-cop.
ACAP.
But I was just kidding. So, Trump says that he wants to deploy a blunt new tool to fight Mexican cartels that flood the U.S. with drugs. Do they really flood the U.S. with drugs? Honestly,
No, I think
just
most
don't
of the
know.
drugs are actually made here, honestly.
I know that there's this whole idea that people are saying that fentanyl from China is being brought from Mexico and Canada. So maybe
Maybe.
that's what they're saying.
So legalize fentanyl.
Yep.
Why is it illegal in the first
That's
place?
the thing.
Because it's
like,
harmful?
Trump wants to deploy a new tool. It's like, just legalize it.
Yeah.
It'd be over.
I just called it a blunt tool, and I thought that was funny.
I'm pretty sure.
I think people who would say that we shouldn't legalize it would say that if we legalized it, it would give people permission to do it. We don't want to condone evil.
They're going to do it anyway.
Yeah. We want, I mean, there's so many other bad things that people already do, right? Like the president of Colombia was like, cocaine's not that bad. It's like, just as bad as alcohol or on the level of alcohol, or alcohol is worse.
Okay, but
right?
most people don't see cocaine as harmless as alcohol. They see it worse than alcohol. In fact,
Right, and the president of Colombia would say that that's because of Western propaganda.
Okay.
Right? It's not as bad. Alcohol is worse.
Especially since in
But you demonize cocaine because it comes from South America.
Right. Well, I don't intend to have cocaine, but like you, Rich, I'd say legalize it.
Yes.
It would take away the problem. It would take away the government's gun in enforcing, this whole drug issue. Legalize it. Whether people do it or not, it shouldn't be a crime for them to be locked in a cage just because they want to do cocaine.
Right. And even if you want to take it down to marijuana, right? The cartels are not attacking dispensaries.
No.
Right. And they're like, oh, you got the legal stuff. All right. We're switching markets because we want the profit margins.
One thing about the whole cocaine thing is that in South America, a lot of time they just chew on the leaf.
Yeah.
That's far better, in my opinion, than doing the hard drug of cocaine.
Yeah, I think I would try one of the leaf smoothie things. Me and Ian have talked about that before. I would try it.
Okay.
Once, but I would never try.
Why not just take a bump of cocaine?
That's what I'm saying. I would never try that.
Why not?
I don't like the idea of harming my nose blood vessels. I don't like how incredibly addictive it is, and how you have an instant bam, you need more feeling.
Yeah.
Do you think you're going to get addicted off of one bump?
Maybe not addicted, but just that oh, now I feel real down and I want more fiending feeling.
Okay.
That sounds awful.
I mean, you could get that with ecstasy.
Yeah, and I hated that.
Okay.
So I've only done it once.
Ecstasy, and I don't intend to.
All my dopamine
What if you
is
call
gone
it
out of my
MDMA
brain.
and give it to housewives?
It's a horrible feeling. It's not good.
I don't advocate governments giving people drugs. So, I don't know, giving housewives MDMA...
or prescribing it for hysteria or whatever.
I mean, okay, that's an acceptable use.
All right.
No, I think that it can, help people with things, and people
Sure.
should be totally free to do stuff.
I agree. I think MDMA is a great therapeutic drug, and it helps with PTSD. Just like I would say psilocybin is the same way. But, most people think that psilocybin is a horrible drug.
I think psilocybin is a lot less damaging because you don't get this horrible feeling for more than a day that you
Right.
just have no ability to be happy. It feels awful. But the other thing is you never know what it's mixed with. So maybe whatever I had was mixed with something crazy. I don't know.
Sure,
Well, that's part of the
test your drugs.
well, that's also part of the legalization problem.
Yeah, mine was from the internet, and the person that gave it to me said that it was just MDMA, but it's just that I don't know. Because
Yeah.
I didn't buy it. I
But
didn't
what
have
if
it
the
tested.
best part of waking up wasn't Folgers in your cup, is just a little bit of cocaine?
When they had cocaine in the coffee. I mean, in the
Coca-Cola?
Yeah, Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, people should be free to take whatever drug they want.
In
Just don't
7 Up,
force me to take it.
I forgot what it was.
I don't think anyone's talking about forcing you to take it, Riley. I'm just saying, if instead of 5 cups of coffee a day, right, for a lot of people who are addicted to caffeine,
Sure.
right, you did one little bump and it got you through the day.
Yeah, I have no problem with people doing that.
Oh, it was lithium. Lithium citrate used to be in 7 Up. It's
Okay.
what they give to people with
To calm down.
bipolar and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a mood
Maybe
stabilizer.
Sarah needs more lithium.
Yeah, maybe.
Sarah needs a job.
That's the thing. If she has a problem with a mood, she could get her lithium or something like it. I'm sure they have something even better for it now.
But she would want someone else to pay for it.
Yeah,
Hmm,
she
yeah.
would. But
That's true.
if she gets a job. she can
It's
pay
kind
for
of
it herself.
the uniform situation. It's well, I can't get a job unless I get the lithium citrate, apparently. And then I can't buy the lithium without the job. So the job should issue me my lithium. It's just probably not the best.
Or your medical insurance, for that matter.
I mean, jobs can offer to just give you a few, uniforms so that they could just give Sarah a few doses to get her going until maybe 1 month worth. Then she has her first paycheck, and then she can pay for her lithium.
Yeah, I've
But
worn company shirts.
who wants to make that kind of a deal with Sarah just to have a Sarah working there when they can hire somebody who doesn't have that problem. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
So
someone who's willing to pay less, right? Like Sarah's qualified for something, but she's probably not qualified for something that meets minimum wage.
Yeah. So she can definitely call Free Talk Live. She can call phone numbers. She can call people.
She could be an operator.
She used to not be able to use the internet, so
yeah, but
not sure if she can.
But if she could do phone calls, right? There are plenty of jobs where all you're doing is phone calls.
Yeah.
She does marketing, right, for her MLM.
Oh yeah,
so she could do phone sales.
Yep, she could do just like have a headset and phone calls keep coming in.
There you go.
Yep. And you can do that from your home too. So you wouldn't have to say, oh, well, this whole thing about the schedule. Like, yeah, you'd have to stick to a schedule, but like just waking up and putting your headset on is a lot different than...
It's just being an adult.
Yep. It's just, if you got to do something, you just got to do it. 603-283-6160. It's Free Talk Live. I don't think any of us here think drugs should be illegal. It's just like, I guess sometimes we're just being like libertarians and being like, yes, but I wouldn't recommend it.
Yep.
Most of them. It's Free Talk Live. More coming up.
Hey, you are going to love the movie Victimless Crime Spree. It's hilarious, heartwarming, and carries a ton of inspiring freedom messages. Feeling down about the lack of liberty in your life? You need to put on this film with some friends and have a good laugh. It's a true story about me and my friends in New Hampshire living free, singing, dancing, and getting arrested. Of course, it's all on video, and the bad guys, the cops, judges, bailiffs, and sheriffs, they all play their part like it's out of a movie or something. You would think we scripted the whole thing, but it's real life. Go ahead and have a watch, and if it's been a while, have another look. I guarantee you'll notice things now that you didn't notice before. And the best part is that you're going to walk away feeling a renewed sense of your own power. You are the master of your destiny, and you will be free in your lifetime. Victimless Crime Spree.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Benji Haya. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio and senior Trump administration advisors are en route to Saudi Arabia to hold talks with Russian officials about ending the war in Ukraine. The White House's Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff and National Security Advisor Mike Waltz are also being sent on behalf of President Donald Trump. But Ukraine, which was invaded by Russia 3 years ago, won't have a seat at this negotiating table, and no invitation was granted to any European nations either. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky insists he'll never accept a deal unless his country is involved.
I will never accept any decisions between the United States and Russia about Ukraine.
There's no room in Riyadh either for delegates from European nations. Instead, France is hosting its own emergency summit, which will be attended by leaders of its allies in the region. President Zelensky's calling for an army of Europe to take on Russia.
The risk that Russia will occupy Europe is 100%.
With more, here's our Europe correspondent, Trent Murray.
His office, as well as many other European countries, will be closely watching what happens in Saudi Arabia in coming days. They will want to make sure that their voice is heard as Washington and Moscow come together face to face for the first time in several years to discuss the war in Ukraine.
That Saudi face-to-face this week follows Secretary Rubio's visit to Israel on the weekend, where he and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu praised President Trump's, quote, bold vision for Gaza, which consists of a US takeover of the devastated Palestinian Strip and the forced resettlement of its millions of residents.
The president's also been very bold about his view of what the future for Gaza should be. Not the same tired ideas of the past, but something that frankly took courage and vision, and it may have shocked and surprised many. But what cannot continue is the same cycle where we repeat over and over again and wind up in the exact same place.
At least 18 people have died in a crush in New Delhi, where thousands of Indians crammed into a railway station, causing a stampede. Dozens, mostly women, were killed after an illegal gold mine collapsed in Mali. The victims were searching for scraps of gold when the earth around them caved in. Elsewhere in Africa, a group of Rwandan-backed rebels have entered the second-largest city in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The United Nations is warning that this latest offensive, which has pushed hundreds of thousands of citizens from their homes, could spark a wider regional conflict. And a British couple is being detained in Iran on unspecified security offences. They were on a motorbike trip around the globe. From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control, and 603-283-6160 is the phone number. That's 603-283-6160. And some of you have wanted to support Free Talk Live's mission on a monthly basis, but don't want to support Patreon. Now we have an alternative that also helps our premier streaming platform, Odyssey. Visit video.freetalklive.com and click join at the top of the channel. You can subscribe for $5 per month, and unlike other subscription services, Odyssey adds their processing fee on top, so it'll cost a little over $5 per month, but Free Talk Live will receive the entire amount you pledged. And we do have members-only chat enabled on there, and we really like Odyssey. It's run by a libertarian, and you can get a membership badge showing your support. And just visit video.freetalklive.com and click join today if you'd like to go that route. Thank you so much to everyone who does. And on Free Talk Live tonight, you've got me, Bonnie.
Riley.
And Richie Rich.
And in the last segment, we were talking about this story. We didn't really actually get into it. We just kind of started talking about drugs, where Trump is going to...
Drugs.
Was that your nobody impression?
Yeah, that's nobody impression.
That's definitely how he says it.
Say it again. I missed it.
Drugs.
Oh.
Kind of his roll with the R.
Okay.
So Trump, he's going to label the cartels terrorists, and I really want to know what he thinks it's going to do. And it kind of scares me. It's like, I don't want the government poking a fight with the cartels. They are crazy, scary people.
I mean, that's what it's going to do. It's going to allow them to go after him, right? You label someone a terrorist.
Mm-hmm.
And then nobody cares if you do bad stuff to them because, oh man, they're terrorists.
People should care. And there are many reasons, like innocent Americans dying. Innocent Mexicans dying too, but I know a lot of Americans don't care, especially like the Trump ones.
Yeah.
Well,
and they're not going to care about Mexican cartels either.
We always other the other, and we don't like the other.
It's a bad idea. So it says, President Trump wants to deploy a blunt new tool to fight Mexican cartels that flood the U.S. with drugs by adding them to a list of terrorist groups that includes the likes of Al-Qaeda and Hamas. The move, which the White House laid out in an executive order last month, could increase pressure on the cartels by directing more money to intelligence gathering. It also could lay the groundwork for going after cartel financiers and allied businesses.
You mean the CIA? Oh. Where's the Doge report on that?
Kind of scary stuff to touch.
Who's financing all of this drug imports?
Let's get into the black budgets.
Yes, let's.
I guess they're already going to do IRS soon, and that's supposed to be like a death sentence, so I guess we'll see what happens.
We'll see.
So it also could lay the groundwork for going after cartel financiers and allied businesses, and for unilateral U.S. military action such as drone strikes on drug labs in Mexico. Like it doesn't say in Mexico, but that's a horrible idea. They're going to drone strike Mexico, innocent Mexicans will die, and then people are going to go into the United States and kill innocent people.
Innocent people working at a drug lab.
Yep.
So or nearby because they miss a lot.
Yep, they miss a lot. So
those poor little Mexicans. It's just really sad that
we were stopping them from crossing the border.
Yeah,
they were going to come eventually.
It's just really sad that we're coming to a place where we think that drug cartels, by calling them terrorists, we're going to end the war on drugs.
Nope. Someone else will pick up the slack.
It's like, does he actually even think that? Like, how could you actually think that?
I don't know.
Because he's Trump and he's a bully. And so, again, everything is a threat of something, right? So the threat should be enough to stop him. And if it doesn't, well, then you resort to violence, right? Everything is like negotiate, and then now that he's got the power to do more than that, it's violence.
Yeah, definitely seems like the whole deal situation where he's always talking about having a deal could definitely lean towards just bullying people, and the tariff thing is literally like
it's a bully, but
the
it's a bully
definition
tactic.
of a bully tactic. We have a caller on the line. We have David in New Mexico on Free Talk Live. David, do you think that your neighbors would possibly kill you to make a point to Donald Trump if he drone strikes a wedding in Mexico?
What neighbors?
Your Mexican neighbors.
Yeah.
Oh, they're gone. I bombed them.
Oh my God! I was like, what do you mean?
How very American of you.
American man. I'm an American man. I'm gonna bomb people. Gotta
damn
bomb those
right,
brown people.
How Sarah of you? She was saying she's gonna bomb the Social Security office. I felt like I shouldn't bring more attention to it. I was like, whatever.
The FBI has already got a tap on this feed, man.
Yeah.
So she's gonna get a visit.
Yeah.
Well, Sarah has bombed the Social Security office a number of times, so I'm sure they're used to it by now.
Are you calling her a grenade?
No, I don't know what I would call Sarah.
I guess
Not
you're
a
attracted
grenade.
to her.
Maybe a spicy tamale.
She's Asian.
That's one spicy tamale.
Sarah's Asian. She's
Spicy tuna roll.
yeah, sorry.
She's half New Mexican.
No, she's not New Mexican at all. She's like half white and half Asian, is what I heard. And she's originally from California. Then she was in Boston for some time. I don't
Spicy
really know why
California
she's
roll.
in New Mexico. Oh, yeah, she's in New Mexico because she heard from her communist friends that it's the best place to go live off the state.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, she's doing a good job of it.
I can double check to make sure I didn't accidentally just make that up. I'm pretty sure that's why she said she's there. She has definitely mentioned that it is one of the best places to go live as a communist.
I mean, if she's been like leeching off the system for 25 years,
Then she's doing a dang
well
good job
played.
of leeching off the state.
Well, I've been hearing her on local radio and not so local radio for the last. Is that local radio? Yeah, that's more like it.
The local radio.
For the last almost 20 years. So I've heard different things. So it seems to change over time.
What you mean? You think she's lying about her ethnicity or?
No, I don't think she's lying. I don't know. I don't know if I heard her right or if she actually did say different things or if I don't know.
Maybe she changed her position after 20 years.
She told us that her grandma was from North Korea and fled North Korea. And that she still is a communist, and that I was like, I think I asked her when she first ever told me that 2 years ago, and then Lori, when she asked her about it recently, Lori was like, so was your grandma mad at you for being a communist after that? And she's like, yeah, she was mad, but she didn't really know what communism is really all about. It's
wow.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, she fled North Korea. How could she not know what communism is all about?
Well, if she would have stayed, she would have seen that it was actually really, really good.
She would have starved to death.
Right.
Yeah.
Or been in a work camp.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, see, all that was new. The first story I ever remember hearing, unless I'm totally fabricating it, which could be the case, but I swear I heard her say that her dad is Filipino and her mom is New Mexican, and that was that. And then years later, all of a sudden, there was North Korea involved. So I don't know what the deal is.
Interesting. Yeah. And it's kind of
Or not
crazy to think.
interesting.
Well, I don't know. She told the
One
same
or the
story to
other.
me twice, so.
Maybe she just wants to pop up her communism swag.
Oh.
I'm a real communist because my grandma was from Korea. She's virtue signaling her communism.
That's what I was thinking.
Interesting.
I had that crossed my mind as well.
But then she was like, yeah, but my grandma didn't like communism. Ugh, so lame.
Mystery.
Yeah.
So Bonnie is Rachel Dratch. Was she one of the funny ones on SNL?
I don't know off the top of my head who that is.
Yes, she was one of the funny ones.
Let me Google it while you guys
cool,
talk about it.
because we're buddies. We did a movie together.
Okay.
We hung out.
Is she? Were you the? Oh yeah, she is funny. I think I see her sometimes, and I think she's Amy Poehler.
She was funny because she would break a lot. Like they would get her to crack.
That's funny. I can see that being funny. Yeah, I recognize the face. I think a lot of times I think she is Amy Poehler. But now I'm like gonna remember.
I feel
that
like
she's
Amy
different.
Poehler's going to be mad at you for saying that.
She's definitely older than Amy Poehler. But
So if Amy Poehler was bi, she'd be bipolar.
oh my god.
See, that
Okay.
was for Richie because I knew he would love that.
Maybe Pete Davidson is funnier than David in New Mexico.
Nah. So I told Rachel and I were in the buffet line at the on set, and I said to Rachel, I said thank you for I don't know exactly how I said it, but I said thanks for all the humor over the years, for making people laugh, and I said because it was that it had to do with because making people laugh, that you can take people that are in a really bad, unhappy position and you make them laugh, and for a few moments they're actually happy. And I said that was a big thing, and she said to me, "Oh, thank you. I'll use that for my soul."
Oh.
Aw, how sweet.
Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah. In my opinion, like, it may be because I don't watch enough Saturday Night Live, but her class of Saturday Night Live, I think, was the peak. I don't think it's gotten funnier since she was a member.
It started out really, really funny, and then got less and less funny. And when Rachel Dratch and that crew was in, that was like the last time it was funny.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
There have been times where I saw like a modern one and it's funny, but it's just never as funny as like Norm Macdonald. So funny.
Right. I do like the funniest thing on Saturday Night Live right now is the joke swap on Weekend Update. They do it as like, I think, a Christmas special. They write jokes for each other and they don't tell each other what the joke is, and then they're just reading the jokes.
Oh wow, that sounds
live on air.
Entertaining.
It is.
Does sound entertaining.
So if you want to see, like, it's funniest thing, they get clips on it on social media all over the place. But if you find the joke swaps from the current cast of Saturday Night Live from Weekend Update, that's the funniest thing they got going on.
I
my opinion.
would look into that. Sometimes I feel like this one thing is fake that's really similar, where they'll have a like pop star or whatever, a singer on the late night show with Jimmy Kimmel, I think it is.
Okay.
If I'm correct that that's the name of his show. And they'll give her, let's say it's Ariana Grande, a song and then a different genre. And they'll be like, okay, sing Once Upon a Dream, but make it rock or whatever. And then they have to just do their interpretation. But I always think it's fake. It's always way too good.
Okay.
It's way too like rehearsed and good.
Yeah, well, you think they would leave that? They pay all those high paid writers, and they leave it to chance for Ariana Grande to nail an interpretation.
Yeah, exactly. I really think that's fake. But the only
thing Ariana Grande has ever nailed is Pete Davidson.
The only thing.
But I was a big fan of Jimmy Kimmel when he first started The Late Show, because he was coming off The Man Show and Win Ben Stein's Money, and I liked both of those shows. And then he would do This Weekend, like Unnecessary Censorship, and that was a hilarious bit early on.
Well,
and then much like everybody else, he made a hard left turn and started to be not funny. And I'm like, all right.
It's really hard to be like a hard leftist and funny.
Jon Stewart,
and that's all I've ever known of him is like being a annoying leftist and not that funny.
Find old episodes of Man Show then.
Yeah.
The old Man Show with Jimmy Kimmel's funnier than like the newer Man shows.
I'm surprised I haven't even talked about him on the air. I never really have been into like stand-up. Usually I don't think stand-up is like entertaining. It's like something like lots of boys think is entertaining, but there is this person that's so funny, and Riley will know who I'm talking about because Colin had to drive Riley to the airport, and we listened to...
Riley couldn't drive himself?
Yeah.
It's because I'm blind,
lazy is because he's lazy.
Is that it? I'm
Oh,
lazy.
man.
Oh, my God. He just wants to be in a league with Sarah.
I just want to be in league with Sarah and leech off the libertarian movement here in New Hampshire.
Well, Colin played a stand-up from this guy named Ryan Long.
Oh yeah.
And it was legitimately like the only person I've laughed at every single one of his jokes. Like it didn't lag at any point, and he's definitely like, it seems like a libertarian.
Okay.
So I would suggest everybody listen to Ryan Long. He's hilarious. If he comes to like any state nearby, I'm going to definitely go see him. He's so funny.
All right.
And he's definitely like a libertarian, it seems like. Like he's not like a right winger. He's not like a left winger. He's like a solid libertarian. So you guys haven't heard of him?
I have not heard of him.
I've heard of him. course.
Oh, yeah. You were there.
Yep.
That guy is super funny. You guys should
And
definitely go
libertarian.
look him up.
Okay.
And
I will definitely look him up
libertarian.
because I do like stand-up comedy.
It seems like something that really appeals more to boys. It's like so many times that I've listened to it's just been because
man.
like a boyfriend wanted me to listen to it. Like Ian
Well-
wanted me to watch a bunch of Dave Chappelle.
Okay. I mean, find a female comic. Like Taylor Tomlinson is funny.
I don't
and
think
female.
it's that I don't like men being funny. It's not that I think that women are funnier or something. I think it's just like it's like a pastime that's like I'd rather be watching something else
Okay.
99% of the time. But Ryan Long is like actually so good at it that it's not unfunny at all.
Okay.
Like, oh my God, who's the redheaded, like really like self-deprecating, sad person who's like extremely famous for being a...
Carrot Top?
No, not Carrot Top. Never mind, whatever.
Louis C.K.?
Yeah, he's not funny to me.
Okay. Oh, he's hilarious.
Maybe
He was funnier before, but he's not unfunny now.
I could be mixing him up with somebody else.
Okay.
It's another one with those people with like in the same league.
Okay.
It could be something Burns. Bill Burns.
Bill Burr.
Yeah, Bill
Oh,
Burr.
he's
He
hilarious.
is not funny to me. It was like
Okay.
like depressing.
Huh.
It just
Yeah.
goes up there and tells depressing stories about his life, and I don't like it.
Okay.
It's like this is how you
Again,
entertain
funnier
yourself?
back in the day. No, because he was very angry before.
Yeah, he was really angry.
Yeah, and
It
that was
like-
hilarious.
It just made me feel like I would not want to have to be in like a house with this dude.
Okay.
Sounds like a freak. Like
But he's
a-
now
George
married
Carlin
with a kid.
is still hilarious.
I don't think I've ever listened to George Carlin. And the thing is, what's his name? The one that I mentioned, the black guy. He's really funny.
Dave Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle's really funny, but still, there'd be like long periods of time where I'm like, oh yeah, like they're still talking. But the Ryan Long guy,
Yeah.
there wasn't 1 second that I wasn't laughing. I was like getting tired from laughing.
Dave Chappelle is a slow burn funny. He tells like a really long joke and then a punchline.
Yeah.
And then tells like another really long joke. So you might get like, 4 or 5 good laughs out of his set.
Yeah.
But it's a long setup and that's just his style.
Yeah. And I guess Norman McDonald's is kind of that way too, but it was funny because he tells really long jokes. So, David, is that what you actually had on your mind tonight to talk about Rachel Dratch?
No, I was going to ask you, what were you saying about my balls the other night?
What?
What?
I don't.
You said something about my balls. I was just wondering what you were thinking.
Do
about
they
my
hang
balls.
low? Do they wobble to and fro?
Me?
Can you tie them in a knot? Can you tie them in a bow?
I forgot all about that song.
Can you throw them over your shoulder like a continental soldier?
That's how you say it.
remember that.
Mine is always, can you throw it over your shoulder, make it hot or make it cold? But why? What does that mean? I don't know what that means. But
That's because your swimmers need to stay the right temperature, otherwise they won't swim no more, Bonnie.
I'm pretty sure the one I'm thinking
Probably
of
shouldn't
was not.
squeeze them into a Speedo either, but here you are.
What do you have
That's
to say
what-
for
I
yourself?
usually don't. That's why I usually just go to the nude beach, so I don't have to wear the Speedo there.
Oh, okay.
They have a nude beach in Albuquerque?
Oh, they got nude beaches
Oh,
everywhere.
yes.
If they don't have one, you just
Oh,
make
yes.
one.
Oh my god. Well, I don't remember what you're talking about. I'm not trying to be funny or something. I really.
Is there a nude beach on the Gulf of America?
You were mad at me or something like that, and said something that I didn't have the balls to whatever. I don't remember what it was. But,
Really? I don't feel like that happened. Like I feel like you
Oh,
misheard
you
me.
want to bet again? Do you want to lose another $10,000?
Another $10,000.
Yeah.
No, I seriously don't think that happened. I don't think David has the balls. Like I don't remember myself saying anything like that.
You said it. Check the tape.
Well, what was it regarding, David?
Like, do you have a like?
I don't remember. It was a fight. One of them that night when I said fight.
So this wasn't even on tonight's episode.
No. I just how can you forget it when
You're like a chick bringing up old stuff.
David, would you?
I don't know what we talked about last week. I don't know what they talked about last night.
It genuinely is
You're
kind
bringing
of
up
hard to
old
remember.
stuff.
It's always the same thing, Richie. So who cares anyway?
David, would you move from New Mexico if Trump starts a war with the cartels?
No, I would fight against them. I'm sick of them suckers sending people up here stealing batteries out of my trucks and stealing my family heirloom firearms. And
You think the cartels are stealing the battery out of your truck?
What?
You think the Mexican drug cartels are stealing batteries out of your truck?
Well, by the looks of those guys, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised for a second that they were cartel.
Okay.
Seriously, there was six of them in an SUV, and by the looks of them, yeah, they could very well have been cartel.
That's
Okay.
scary. Really creepy.
And like, oh man, we got to go get the battery out of this David's dude's truck.
We need to build a bomb.
For Sarah.
Build them.
Like we don't have car batteries in Mexico. We got to like cross the border into New Mexico to get this battery.
Yeah, they got old. Well, they got old. You're onto something. They got in Mexico. They got old car batteries. This car battery was brand new and $130.
Okay.
Okay.
That really sucks. Were you like sleeping in your car when that happened?
No, I went down to the Rio Grande on a hot Labor Day afternoon to wet my back in the Rio Grande. I wanted to be just like them. I wanted to bond with them. And then here they, instead of bonding with me, they steal my battery and then leave me stranded.
Oh,
it was after dark. It was. I go back to my truck. It's getting dark, and I go to turn the key, and nothing.
But you saw them?
Yeah, I saw them.
How come you didn't stand up for yourself while they were stealing your battery? Hey, get out of here, Mexicans! Give me my battery back.
They had already stolen the battery, and I didn't know at that point that they had stolen it.
Oh. So you're not even sure that they were the ones that stole it. They could have just been like there.
If you know anything about psychology and you can read facial expressions and body language, and then after the fact, it's like, oh, that's why they were behaving like that.
Yeah, there was this one time that a woman in the aisles came up to me when I worked at Walmart and was like, ma'am, there's drugs on the floor here. And it was in the toy section, and I had to stand over the, like, I don't know, I think meth. I've always said it was meth.
Okay.
It was like crystals that were kind of like somewhat see-through. I actually took a picture of it, so it's somewhere in my Snapchat. And it was in a small little bag, and it wasn't crystal, like, it wasn't like powder, it was like crystals.
Okay.
And I had to stand over it because that's like the protocol at Walmart and wait for somebody to come by, and I see my boss, and I'm like, hey, Frank. And he came by and he picked up with like a receipt and held it up in the air walking away. And while I was standing there, like waiting for my boss or something, there was like a chick walking around, like looking like at all the aisles, very strange, and was not a child looking at the toys. And I was like, she's gonna know it's me. What do I do? Like if she would have like come towards it, I probably would have just pretended that I didn't see it and started walking away or something. But she didn't. She just like, she was nervous about me, and I was nervous about her.
Excuse me, miss, did you drop your meth over here?
But I also don't know that it was her. But yeah, I've always thought to myself, like, that was probably her. What if she's mad at me? What if she remembers my face and I don't remember hers? But yeah, that was it.
All right.
So then the proper protocol then is you get on the PA system and you go meth cleanup in aisle, is that how it works?
No.
No, she had to stand there and wait for a supervisor to walk by.
It's like if there's a throw up on the ground.
Sounds like you're saying meth, only it's meth. The meth.
Oh, yeah. It was a methy situation on aisle. It was like the bikes and stuff, like the kids.
On the bike aisle.
Bike aisle, yeah. So the police did have to come, I guess, because he like brought it, like picked it up with a receipt and carried it like it was like gonna get him sick or like get into his body somehow if he didn't like lift it above his head. He's like,
I mean, well played on not putting his fingerprints on the bag.
I know.
Okay.
That's one thing I thought about too. I was like, I'm not gonna pick it up, and that's when I was like, oh yeah, the throw up protocol. You like stand over throw up if you work at Walmart.
It's gross.
I know. I think if I saw throw up, I'd stand next to it, not over it, and let the fumes go up onto me. But
or the smell.
Yeah.
It's usually not a pleasant smell.
That's disgusting. I would want to smell
Speaking of that, what is it? They got it. So they don't have a special sign in Walmart that says methyl on the floral, like they got the one for when somebody loses continence, and that sign that they put down on the wet spot, it says Pizzo on the Mojado.
Well, you still got to wait for someone to come by and get you the sign. It's not like Bonnie was carrying the signs around.
Yeah, exactly. There's like little stations, but if you find one, basically you have to stand there, and if any other Walmart employee walks by, you say, hey, look, I got this, and they can go get it for you while you stand there, and then they can get that stuff that you pour on top of throw up.
One of the
now they have the technology with the little radios.
Probably one of the night stalkers that dropped it. Those guys look like they would do that.
No, it was the creepy chick walking around looking for her meth that she dropped.
I seriously do think it was that lady to this day, but she was like my age, but definitely not like me. Like she looked all out of it. Thanks for the call, David. You owe me $10,000 because I said so, because you always say that to me for no reason. And thanks for calling.
In Bitcoin.
Yeah, I'll take it in Bitcoin or in a check. Honestly, I don't care. It's been Free Talk Live. You can listen, or you can find more from us at freetalklive.com. Thanks for listening, and peace.
This hour of Free Talk Live is brought to you by Dash Digital Cash. Dash is the cryptocurrency designed to be used for spending. In addition to being one of the world's first cryptocurrencies, Dash was the first crypto project to have a decentralized autonomous organization that to this day continues to improve and promote Dash. Every month, 10% of the mining rewards go into a treasury. Anyone with one Dash to spend can put forward a proposal to the Dash masternodes. The masternodes vet the proposals and decide which ones move forward and are funded by that treasury. Nowadays, DAOs are plentiful, but Dash paved the way